95.3 DF Memphis. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome in to another edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Siggers with you on this cloudy Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. We're broadcasting live from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. You know that by now. The ultimate game room and fall sale going on right now at 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40, just in time for Christmas. Still thinking about those Christmas gifts? Well, I can guarantee you there's something you'll love. Probably more than one thing at Family Leisure. So check them out today or this upcoming weekend. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently 51 degrees. It will get up to 54 today. Cloudy skies, and we could see a morning shower, maybe even an early afternoon shower before the rain dissipates. 33 for a low tonight into your Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday looks to be very nice. 50 degrees and plenty of sunshine. Coming up on the program today, Tim Buckley from the Daily Memphian will join us at 8:25. We'll talk Memphis Tigers basketball, some Memphis Tigers football as well with Tim. He wrote recently about the basketball team. Obviously, that loss has got people on alert, a little worried about that. Penny Hardaway had his weekly radio show last night. We'll tell you what he had to say as Memphis gets ready for a gauntlet of games coming up to wrap up the non-conference portion of their schedule. At 9:05, speaking of Tigers, former Tiger great Elliot Perry, a Grizzlies radio analyst for home games. He will join us to talk Grizzlies and probably a little Tigers as well. We'll talk to EP at 9:05. And then Blake Topmeyer at 9:25, who joins us every other Tuesday, the senior national college football columnist for USA Today Network. We'll get his thoughts on how he felt the committee did as far as their playoff teams are concerned. We'll talk about the matchups and all things college football with Blake Topmeyer. We do have Humdinger's Trivia. That'll come your way at approximately 8:05, so stay tuned for that. And we'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. Memphis falls out of the top 25 in the college basketball polls. We'll talk Grizzlies, who will not return to action until Friday when they host the Brooklyn Nets. Plenty of football news, including news from the UFL. And will Bill Belichick actually go to the college ranks? We got a little Major League Baseball we'll get to as well. It's all coming up on the program today. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to lead with it. Your Cowboys. Gosh, I usually try to go to bed a little bit early, and more than likely I don't wrap up Monday Night Football. I usually get to bed unless it's a really, really good game. I'm not saying last night was a really good game, but it was 20-20. So I'm watching it to see how this plays out. And the Cowboys special teams, as you know, comes up with the big play. And they block a punt. And they are looking pretty until Numbnuts touches it. Recovered by Cincinnati. Joe Burrow turns it into a touchdown pass from 40 yards out to Jamar Chase, who was electric as he usually is. And the Cincinnati Bengals, maybe the best 5-8 team in the history of the NFL, defeat your Cowboys in Big D 27-20. Another grueling loss for the guys with the stars on the side of their helmet.
Yeah, it's a creative way to lose. They've done it before. Of course, back in 93, you had the famous Leon Lett play with the Dolphins on Thanksgiving Day where they blocked the field goal and he went and tried to recover it for some stupid reason, slipped on the ice, gave the Dolphins a second chance. They made the field goal. Now, that Cowboys team went on to win a Super Bowl. This one's not going to. I just don't even know what would go through your mind in that moment. Like, you have to know the rule. Like, I assume you're at least coached well enough that you understand the rule.
Really? You're going to assume that guy knew the rule?
Yes.
Okay.
I just don't know what the benefit of trying to recover that ball is. Just get the hell out of the way. Like the ball's not going very far. Just leave it alone. And I get there's some like you're not expecting the ball to be there, like where he is. Like you turn around, and the ball is there. There is somewhat of a just like reaction, like whoa, wait, heck, the football's right here. What's going on? But it's just unbelievable. Like that, it's just unbelievable. That play happens again to them. And ends up losing them the game. But in the end, really, I mean, the Cowboys, they're not going anywhere. They weren't going to the playoffs. So in the end, really, all this does is kind of help them get a little bit better draft pick. So really, in the end, no harm, no foul.
I'm staring at the replay. We have a monitor in our studio, and it's on ESPN, and they continue to show that play. And I know while it's happening for these players, they're reacting. There's a ball bouncing around. It's right in front of them. But the whole fact of the matter is, all these dudes are running toward that football. The Bengals had it blocked. It's not like they can pick it up, recover, and it would be their ball. The only thing that can happen there is when the ball stops bouncing, wherever it is, that's where the Cowboys are going to take over. Unless the Cowboys touch the ball, which they did. I am not going to assume that all those players know the rule. Or they may know the rule, but while the play is happening, they lose their minds. And they forget what the rule is. Because all they have to do, like you said, get the hell away from the ball. Just run away from the ball. Don't go near the damn ball. The guy tries to pick it up and fumbles it. I don't get it. I can only think that they don't know the rule, or they've had, again, because of the action that's going on and the excitement, a block punt, they lose their minds. They forget what the rule is. I've seen it too many times.
Again, I assume NFL players understand the rules on punts. I don't even know if he understands like the punt was blocked. Like he just turns around and sees the ball. Like you should understand. I got to get away from it. That's not my job. But I don't even know if he knows for sure exactly how the ball ended up there. Again, where he is, the last thing you're expecting is the ball rolling at you. But
Did he talk to the media?
No.
Okay.
They basically, apparently, all his teammates kind of shielded him from the media. However, Jerry Jones did talk to the media. And I love Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones actually makes it sound like they shouldn't have tried to block the punt. Like they should have known this was going to happen and therefore...
So just set up a return.
He said, I'm sure that there's low odds of the ball bouncing into one of our players after we touch the ball on a block. There's low odds. But I don't know if those odds are more positive than if we'd have taken the kick and gotten the ball and got within field goal range and kicked the ball.
What an idiot.
So according to Jerry's like, damn you guys, why would you block a punt in that situation? You idiots, this is dumb. I really like that's...
Why even practice that? That's blocking a punt. Why even do that?
Like that is the weirdest response to that play. I don't know if we probably would better off we shouldn't be trying to block punts. This is dumb. What are we doing out there? Why are we trying to block punts? Oh, gosh.
Then you have Micah Parsons leaving the field while the game is still technically not over. There's still time on the clock. He's walking to the locker room.
I have no problem with that.
Really?
Not with it. He was a lot of Parsons' emotion. First, he was busting his rear end.
I'm sure there were a lot of players who were busting their rear end.
The injury to DeMarvion Overshown did a lot to that added a lot to Micah Parsons' emotions last night because that whole team. I mean, that's you feel terrible for a guy who missed his entire rookie year last year, comes back, was playing extremely well, and then ends up with what looks like another serious knee injury on his other knee, and who knows how long he'll be out. But that's, I mean, and Parsons even talked about that afterward. That's kind of his guy, is that, and so I think that added a lot to it. Plus, again, I think everyone on the sideline was like, especially on the defense side, like, we just worked our tails off against this offense to get the ball back, and then we do this stupid stuff and end up losing the game anyway.
Well, I understand how frustrating it must be, and I understand that he's emotional from his teammate getting hurt again. But you're walking off the field. You're not there at the end of the game to shake hands with your opponent. You're showing up the guy, your teammate, who made the blunder. I know there's frustration, but you can wait a little bit on that, in my opinion, till you get behind closed doors and not do that, because that's going to be a lot of the conversation today. I don't know. And McCarthy's gotten the vote of confidence from Jerry Jones. Yeah, they're really going to run this thing back?
No.
So you think he's going to get canned, no matter what Jerry has said to this point?
Their entire coaching staff's contracts are up. This is it. He is not. They are not re-signing Mike McCarthy to another contract. I would be.
You're positive?
I would be beyond stunned if they sign Mike McCarthy to another contract.
Okay.
It doesn't, like.
No, it doesn't make sense.
If you were going to keep Mike McCarthy, you would have already given him a new deal. Like, you would have done that before this season. Like, they let him get to the last year of, like, the deal. Like, there's no chance whatsoever of him coming back. I would be, again, beyond stunned. I know Jerry.
Was he holding out hope that they were turning around? Is that what you think it was? He really, in his weird, strange mind of his, that he thinks they could turn it around, so that's why he wanted to give him his support? Because he has publicly come out and supported.
He hasn't said anything about next year. He hasn't said he's coming back next year.
He hasn't technically said
he hasn't fired him, but he doesn't have to.
He has supported him.
Well, he supported, because right now he is the head coach of the team, but like he hasn't fired him this year in season, but
right.
He's said nothing about bringing him back next year.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I'm with you. You have to make a clean break. It didn't work out.
And the thing is, like, I mean, and I'll give the frustrating part about last night is, like, they actually played pretty well.
They've had the last couple of weeks. They played okay,
and they had an opportunity. I mean, and the defense was playing well. I mean, if they don't screw that up, there's a good chance they hold the Bengals offense to 20 points.
Right.
Which is good. Like, that's with the way they're playing, especially with what Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are doing right now. Like, those two are on a different planet, and to have the opportunity to hold them to 20 points and get another home win, which there's only one of them still. They're very few and far between as far as home wins go for the Cowboys right now. It would have been a nice win, and then to have a mistake like that. And the thing was, the officiating crew can thank the Cowboys special teams, because had the Cowboys not made that mistake, and if they went down and won the game, then all of the talk today would be about the missed face mask on the officiating crew, which for the life of me, I don't know how you miss a face mask on that blatant, especially on a quarterback who has the ball in his hands at the time that it happened. Like, that's one of the all-time missed face masks. I mean, it's Joe Burrow. This is one of your superstar quarterbacks. Dude damn near ripped his head off with his face mask, and somehow the officials, every one of them, missed that call.
I watched a lot of football this past weekend. I mean, a lot of football. And I can't remember specifically which game it was. I can't even remember if it was college or the NFL. But there was at least one or two times that I can recall a blatant face mask like that this past weekend that wasn't called as well. I don't know if there's too much onus put on I don't know if that would be the back judge or who's ever behind the quarterback, because sometimes they're shielded away from them. But you have a whole officiating crew, and I know everybody has their specific jobs, but you can't miss that. And there should be some way. I know it's not within the rules, but there has to be a way to just buzz down and say, no, it's a face mask. The guy's head. He did a exorcist, for goodness sakes. His head spinned around. So
Well,
you got to be able to fix that. I mean, when it's that blatant.
I mean, quite frankly, that should be a play that falls under the whole replay assist. Mm-hmm. Like the New York should be able to say, "Whoa, hey."
It's so simple.
There's a blatant face mask. Like
Right.
there's
End of
you guys-
story.
it's done. It's throw your flag. It's a 15-yard penalty. Like it's not even
Right.
hard because the replay assist again is great. Like what they do now with that is awesome. Instead of wasting time to make coaches challenge plays and then reverse them, just let the guy and anything like that. Anything that is just blatantly obvious and missed by the officiating crew, they should be able to
I agree.
buzz them and say, listen, no, you missed that, whatever it is. And it could be anything. And maybe someday they'll get to that. I don't know. But yeah, you feel like every official on the field is looking at the quarterback
But they're not.
to protect him because
But they're not. Yeah.
if you graze his head, they're calling you a penalty for unnecessary roughness. But yet when it's a quarterback and somebody grabs his face mask, darn near rips his head off, somehow the entire officiating crew misses that. It's yeah. Raider Corey said, talk about a bad beat. Had the Cowboys plus 5.5. On top of that, I was leading my fantasy opponent by 38, but then they had Jamar Chase score 43 points.
Ah, jeez.
I will say this: the blunder did help me, and it was actually. See, this is why you always talk about bad beats. I got lucky as hell. I needed Chase Brown to get to 58 yards rushing, and because of that play, they then handed off to him on the second down play after they got the ball back. He got 10 yards to finish with exactly 58 yards rushing.
Wow.
So, and if the Cowboys had the ball, obviously even if the Bengals got it back, there was no chance they were going to be running the football. So, it was a very lucky play in some ways for me. And again, just helps the Cowboys draft situation. So all in all, in the end, I'm fine with it.
I needed a Dowdle touchdown run. He had over 100 yards, I think, second straight game. But that would have been a nice big parlay for me, but it wasn't to be.
Now, granted, the Bengals defense is terrible, but that's again, the Cowboys with darn near me playing offensive line at this point, to run the ball the way they did, and actually, for the most part, protected Cooper Rush pretty decently. But with Dowdle, I mean, 100 and I don't know what he ended up with, 150 or whatever yards with that offensive line. I was like, hey, there are some positive signs, but then it's just funny to lose a game in that way.
Yeah, I figured it would be even more of a high-scoring game because Cincinnati always plays those type of games. Normally, Joe Burrow this season throws for at least 250, if not 300, 3 touchdowns, and they lose. But this game, he puts up the numbers again, and they get a break, and they win. So the Bengals, again, as I said to start the show, 5-8, one of the best 5-8 teams I think I've ever seen. They're a team that's capable. I mean, every week they're capable. They haven't got the ball to bounce their way, and that's what Burrow talked about after the game. He said, we finally got some bounces to go our way.
They are, I believe, which I had no idea until I saw this stat, that they're I think it's now they're undefeated against the spread on the road.
Oh, really?
At 5-8, they're undefeated against the spread on the road. They, like the Cowboys, don't ever win at home. Their wins have come on the road, and they're really good on the road, which I had no clue to get. Now, they should have never covered the spread last night, but they ended up, in the end, covering the spread.
All right, so this is a NFL/college football story, but yesterday I watched the Pat McAfee interview with Bill Belichick, and I mean, it seems like it may happen. It's no guarantee right now, as Belichick said, but he was a little bit more open than he normally is. Of course, he's in a whole different state this year since his ouster from the Patriots and now into the broadcasting realm of things, where he's a little bit more open than he was certainly in his infamous press conferences after Patriots games, where he would merely utter a word, if not even answer a question. He was pretty open with McAfee, just like Saban is, and people seem to open up with McAfee. He wouldn't talk specifically about whether or not he was going to get an offer, but he didn't dance around it. It seems like he really has thought this over, and with a number of different discussions, is looking at a college job, in this instance, North Carolina specifically, as NFL light. And that's the way we talk about it anymore with college football. He talked about the personnel you need. One, for transactions, portal, that's the free agency. One, about recruiting, which is more like the rookies being drafted, right, in the NFL. He equated that to that. He talked about basically the payroll, which is now in existence in college football, and talked about it basically being a feeder system for the NFL, which it is to a certain degree. It's not like a high percentage of those players go to the NFL. Most of them do not. But I don't know if he's talked himself into, and then he has some history with North Carolina, and his father was a coach, that it may very well happen. Now, again, I'm kind of on the fence with it. You know, people talk about his age, but okay, what is he, 73? He seems like he has all his wits and his intelligence and his knowledge. Looks like he hasn't missed a beat, at least from what he says and how he analyzes games. I don't know what we're talking about here, 5 years, 7 years, but it may happen, Eli. I mean, just from that conversation, listening to it, it may very well happen that North Carolina could end up hiring Bill Belichick, that he could go there. I still think there might be a team or two in the NFL that says, hey, Bill, hold on. We're interested. But I don't know. Maybe the ship has sailed as far as the NFL and opportunities.
I would still be very surprised if he ended up going to a college job. I do think, as May point out, like that nowadays it is different in that with the way these staffs are and how many guys you can have on staff and the different jobs and the way they've kind of loosened up the rules as far as number of coaches, all of these things. It makes it a lot more possible because Bill Belichick really could just kind of be the head coach and have guys doing everything else.
Right.
If he does do it, I still believe it is simply to get his son. I think he'll coach for about 2 years and turn it over to his son. I think it's literally to get his son the job.
Okay. Also, Anthony Becht, you know him from the Battle Hawks in the UFL. Their head coach, he has interviewed, according to reports, for the West Virginia job. Again, that's a job that many believe Rich Rodriguez could end up getting back. He was a former West Virginia coach, former Michigan coach, who did an outstanding job with Jacksonville State this season. All right, we'll take our first time out. If you want to hit us up, you can on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. When we come back, we talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Penny Hardaway had his radio show last night, some interesting things he had to say, and the Tigers fall out of the top 25 poll, both the AP and the coaches poll.
If Anthony Becht does get that job, I'm going to guess I know where his son's going to transfer to.
Yeah, I think that's a given. Hey, everybody, nothing says holiday fun like driving home in a new All-Star Chevrolet. It's the Red Tag event here in Olive Branch that could get you some big customer cash or financing as low as 0%. How about a new Tahoe or Silverado, maybe a new Blazer or a Suburban? Together, let's drive into Christmas and the new year in a new All-Star Chevrolet. Some will have special financing and no payments until spring because your good credit deserves it. Olive Branch is where all the new Silverados and the Tahoes are, new 24s and 25s as well. If you're in law enforcement, first responder, you work in the healthcare field, military, you're a teacher, a recent graduate, you get a $500 bonus with the purchase of a vehicle, new or pre-owned. Every late model pre-owned you're looking for is there in Olive Branch, all in one place. All the Silverados, the Jeeps, the Toyotas. They have Lexus and Ram trucks and Ford trucks and SUVs. They also have a beautiful Camaro, a ZL1 Camaro. Like I said, if you're looking for something pre-owned, I can almost guarantee you they got it for you. If you've got any vehicle you want to sell, Bring it to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch and get the most money back for it. So don't miss the final holiday red tag sale going on now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. Drew and everyone at All-Star Chevrolet wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. AllStarAutoGroup.com, the website. Check that out as well. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
High-energy, full-body workout that utilizes the same equipment and technology employed by Floyd Mayweather to achieve his impressive 50-0 record. The workout features 4 types of heavy bags, treadmills, rows, battle ropes, weights, and much more. Visit Mayweather Boxing and Fitness, located at 2257 North Germantown Parkway in Cordova. Train like a champ. Mayweather Boxing and Fitness. 901-673-1267.
They're taking care of business in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their product. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called Godhopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Felix Cavalieri, founding member of the Rascals, will be performing with Six Wire on this year's AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and you want to be there too. You'll hear all the iconic hits at the President's Gala on December 26th in Lima, and at halftime, 66 AutoZone Liberty Bowl on December 27th. Get your tickets today by calling the AutoZone Liberty Bowl at 795-7700. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office reminds you that fans don't let fans drive through. Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A couple of accidents still getting some attention out here as it builds already on 385 Bill Morris Parkway coming westbound. That's inbound on 385 from Riverdale all the way up to Ridgeway as it tries to pick up over here on Austin Peay Highway southbound, getting on that ramp to I-40. Shop now and save during this holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, conveniently located at 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. I don't know if anyone expected Memphis to completely fall out of the poll. I had a feeling it would happen after losing to an Arkansas State team with a net north of 150, and they did. They're out of the top 25 in both the AP and the coaches' polls. In the AP poll, they are 28th if you stretch it. They got 123 votes. Your number one team, the Tennessee Volunteers, the new number one team in the nation. They got 58 first-place votes. Auburn, number two, fellow SEC team. They got 3 first-place votes. And Iowa State, number 3, they got the lone remaining first-place vote. Then Duke 4, Kentucky 5, Marquette, Alabama, Gonzaga, Florida, and Kansas. So do the math. Vols, Auburn, Kentucky, Bama, Florida. 5 of the top 10, half of the teams from the SEC. Oklahoma, 13th from the SEC. Clemson from the ACC, which Memphis will play this Saturday at Little John Coliseum. They're 16th. Texas A&M from the SEC, 17th. Ole Miss is number 19. And Mississippi State comes in the AP poll at number 25. So Memphis, 3 of their next 4 games. Number 16, Clemson on the road. Number 19, Ole Miss at home. And number 25, Mississippi State at home. So Eli, even though they drop out of the poll, and of course what's more important is the net, they still got 123 votes. They're 28th. They have the opportunity, the remaining 4 games of this month, to really make a statement and to get right back in there.
Yeah, well, plenty of opportunity here over these next few weeks with those 3 teams. And again, Virginia certainly not that type of team, but on the road will be a challenge and an opportunity to pick up a road win over a P4 opponent is never a bad thing, that's for sure. All of those, all 3 of those teams are ahead of them in the net rankings. All 3 are ahead of them in the KenPom rankings, all of those stuff. So it is 3 very good opponents that are waiting on the horizon. And after that disappointing performance against Arkansas State, you got time off here this week in order to try and get things figured out and corrected before you start this tough stretch of 4 games.
Yeah, and to heal some minor injuries as well. Penny last night at his radio show said that P.J. Haggerty and Tyrese Hunter are still both dealing with injuries. He says they've only practiced a couple times in the last 3 weeks. He said they are absolutely capable of winning at Clemson. Of course, they beat Clemson at home last season. He said, but to do that, they have to play Memphis basketball. He said that we've got to get that fire back, and what a better place to do it than at Clemson in front of a hostile crowd. He said we can't let this team get into the position we got into last year, talking about his team. Some other things that he said about the Arkansas State loss: we just didn't step up to the plate, which is kind of disheartening for me. He also said specifically in the way they're playing, we have not done a good job taking guys off the three-point line. That was very evident in their game Sunday against Arkansas State. There was just confusion and bad communication, leaving a lot of guys open.
Yeah, and while the Tigers have been great in shooting the 3, number 2 in the nation, they are also one of the worst teams in defending the 3-point line. They are 304th in the nation in 3-point percentage defense. So, and Arkansas State, while they didn't shoot a real high percentage, it was just the 33%. They got a lot of open looks. Some of them went in, some of them did not. But certainly, you've got some teams coming up here that can shoot the 3, and the 3 is the great equalizer.
Yes.
And if you are going to allow teams to get wide open looks, that's not a good recipe for success.
He said, unfortunately for us, we don't get the opportunity to lose a game. You have to win every game almost. If you don't, you are dropping 12, 13, 14 spots. Every game has to be an NCAA game. When you lose a game for Memphis only, it's the worst thing in the world. Now, I don't know how other fan bases react to losses. I can't imagine they're happy. Is it the worst thing in the world? Yeah, Memphis fans, they go out there on the ledge, and think about jumping. But he's absolutely right how punishing a loss is for them. He knows it. Look, this goes back many, 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 many moons. I remember Cal talking about it all the time on this very show, talking about it. And I'm sure all the coaches before Cal talked about it as well, that Memphis is everybody's Super Bowl and all that stuff. And while some of the times it's true, other times not so much. But in this league, without question, for Arkansas State, without question, or La Tech, or Ohio. But when you're playing Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Clemson and Virginia in the leagues they play in, they're not looking at Memphis as their Super Bowl, but they're looking at Memphis as a competent team that will really help our resume if we win. And Memphis is looking at that the same way. But Memphis does not have the luxury of making up for losses by playing in a competitive conference. That is the issue, which again is the long-standing issue with University of Memphis athletics and why everybody and their mom wants to get out of this conference. But it is what it is. You can't do anything right now. You're in the conference. You have to win that conference. Yes, maybe if they win all 4 of these games coming up and don't have really bad losses in the conference, lose a couple, they'd be in as an at-large. But this conference is looking at one team right now. Memphis, again, would be in right now, so it would be 2 teams if Memphis didn't win it. But Memphis is the heavy, heavy favorite to do so. That's probably all it comes down to. If Memphis takes care of business non-conference, does a really good job in the league, maybe loses 2 or 3, and comes up short in the championship game, they'd get in as an at-large. But any other team in that league, they're going to have to win. They have to win the conference, and that includes the preseason favorite, UAB. But if Memphis falters, loses 3 out of these 4 coming up, puts themselves into a bit of a hole where they better win the conference. You can't take any chances. But it's not just about winning and getting back to the NCAA tournament. That's first and foremost. But it's also being seated high so you can make a legitimate run. You don't want to be another 10 seed or a 9 seed. Yeah, you want to be in the dance no matter what, don't get me wrong. But you want a legitimate seed to make a legitimate run. And to do that, you have to do the damage in the non-conference portion of your schedule. Last year it backfired because you finished 7th in the conference. But assuming that they can take care of business this year in the conference, which they should. They're a better team. I think they're mentally prepared. We'll see as they try to battle back from some adversity against Clemson after the loss to Arkansas State. But they are better prepared, I think, mentally. I think they're better defensively, even though they didn't show it Sunday. So I think they're in a better position. But they can really put themselves in a good position if they can win 3 out of these 4 games.
These 4 opponents, talking about the 3-point shooting and the 3-point defense, Clemson is 40th in the country in 3-point shooting. Virginia's 23rd. Mississippi State's 141st, and Ole Miss is 73rd. So you are dealing with some teams who can shoot the 3 coming up here. 3 out of the 4, again, top 73, 2 of them top 40 in the nation in 3-point shooting. So you better be better at defending the 3-point line than what they have been. Just looking at the net rankings, it's unbelievable. The preseason pick to win the American, UAB, is 215th.
Wow.
In the net.
Wow.
215th. They only, there's 4 teams, but the sad part is there's still 4 teams in the conference worse than them in the net, but they're 215th. Crazy how bad their start to the season has been. I mean, they have blown any opportunity at an at-large bid, and we're not even 10 games into the season.
Yeah, it goes back to what Penny had to say. If you lose any of those games, you're crippled. And these are a bunch of new guys. Only Jourdain is back, who played significant minutes last year. I got a couple of guys that are walk-ons that were on the team last year. But he knows what they went through last year. And hopefully these new players learned from Sunday, even though it was a non-conference game, about losing to a team that, at least on paper, was inferior and how much damage it can do. Because with each loss in that conference, it does damage. It does significant damage. You don't want to work your tail off, which again was the case last year, in the non-conference, to play the schedule you play, to win some of the big games you win, to have it all slip through your fingers because your team is not ready to go against Rice or UTSA or Tulsa. You have to be ready to go every game. That's not just hyperbole. That's not coach speak. That's legitimate stuff.
Arkansas State lost to Rice. So it's quite easy to be able to convince people that, hey, Rice can be dangerous. We lost to a team that they beat.
Yeah, true. Plus, Rice-A-Roni. It's the San Francisco treat. And Memphis won at San Francisco. But doesn't mean they'll beat Rice. No, seriously, it's one of those situations where, and it's hard to be up for every single game. I can't imagine. I'm not a coach nor a player, but there are days that you probably don't feel like getting out of bed. The aches, the bumps, the bruises, but you have to. You have to. In the SEC, you could survive one of those games. Look at the conference you play in. I just mentioned 5 of the top 10 teams in the poll, in the AP poll, are from the SEC. And you got a lot more teams going to the NCAA tournament than you did the 12-team playoff. So the schedules matter a little bit more, apparently. NBA, the Grizzlies don't play until Friday. They'll take on the Brooklyn Nets at home. It's been a nice run for the Grizzlies, now having time to relax a little bit and get their walking wounded healed as much as they can. Certainly they will be without Vince Williams Jr., Gigi Jackson, Zach Edey for some time, but you had Sunday where Ja and Dez both sat out after playing Saturday. I'm sure they'll both be ready to go on Friday, assuming there's no setbacks or anything like that once they resume practice. I don't think they practiced yesterday, but probably back on the floor today, getting ready at FedEx Forum for Brooklyn. I saw this from our buddy Drew Hill from the Daily Memphian, and he tweeted this out, said, beginning with games on November 20th, the Grizzlies have now won 10 of 11. And they have 5 of the NBA's top 15 players in net rating. Now, it's a minimum 8 games, 10 minutes per game they have to average. Jay Huff, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, Des Bain, Brandon Clark all fit into that category. That's pretty amazing. It really shows you how guys have stepped up this year that were not expected to even be an integral part of the team, some of them, and how deep this team is. This is an incredibly deep team. Boston's a deep team. There's a few others. Memphis is right up there. We talk about Denver, right? After Jokic, Murray, Gordon, those starters, and they haven't all played together that much this year, they can still lose games because they do not have a bench. Memphis has a bench. They have a really deep bench. And those guys are proof right there with those numbers.
Yeah, again, the depth is great for the regular season during this time, especially when you're dealing with injuries. And then we'll see what they do with that, and do they use some of that depth in order to make a move at the trade deadline, to maybe bring in what they might consider a key piece to put themselves in a real good position to not just be a playoff team, but be a chance to win a championship. I mean, in the end, that's what it's about. And they've got a group of guys, a core group, certainly, that they believe is capable of that. What are the pieces around there? Again, I would love if they could win the Cam Johnson sweepstakes.
You love that guy.
Oh, God, he would be so perfect for the Grizzlies. I think if they get Cam Johnson, they are the best team in the West.
You know what's interesting? They tried to make a trade with the Nets for Mikal Bridges, right? When he was with the Nets, he's now with the Knicks. They did make a trade with the Nets, or was it a 3-way trade where Zaire Williams ended up there? What is it with Brooklyn? It's like, of course, you got to have 2 to tango, right? You have to have a team that's willing to give up pieces, and they're one of them to a certain extent. They want to hold you for ransom, though. They want the world in a trade. But it's interesting, Brooklyn's come up a lot of times in possible trade partners.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're in a complete rebuild and have been now.
Have been for decades.
Makes them a likely partner. And, when they're here in town this week, if they want to leave Cam Johnson here, I'm all for it.
Are you going to kidnap Cam Johnson?
Listen, if that's what it takes, if I was the Grizzlies, I would be thinking about it. I'm telling you, you add Cam Johnson to this team, I believe the Grizzlies, to me at that point, are the favorites to win the Western Conference.
Elijah, if Eli asked you, what are you doing Friday night, don't answer him. Don't text back or give him or answer your phone.
Secret safe with me, don't worry.
You know what he's going to want you to do. So all of a sudden,
The
Cam
thing is,
Johnson is missing.
the thing is, the Grizzlies, when you look at assets, are in as good a spot as anybody
Yes, they are.
to be able to put together a package to acquire him. When you're talking about the guys they have who have proven that they can play in the NBA, plus draft capital, because they still have their draft picks for the most part. Like they haven't been making all these other trades. Their team's been built through the draft. Like they should be. Now, I don't know what they're willing to part with and all that, and how they want to sort through these guys. But based on just pure assets, I don't know. They should be able to make a better offer if they want to than anybody in the NBA, just about.
Do you believe the next 2 months leading up to the to the trade deadline is not an audition? The guy has proven himself, but it's 2 months to figure out if Marcus Smart is the right piece. The piece to get you over the top.
I want Marcus Smart on the team.
Okay, because there's many that don't. Obviously, he brings a lot to the table, but it seems like maybe they're still in a learning phase because of the lack of games that he's played and played with Ja and Dez, and just kind of to figure out. Because if you're going to make a trade, and maybe they won't make a trade, you're right. They have a lot of assets. I would think Smart would be one that would be an interesting piece.
I don't think Smart would be anything for the Nets. I mean,
No, not the Nets because they're in a rebuild, but for somebody else.
I mean, I don't know what. I mean, there would be contenders wanting Marcus Smart. No, I mean, I guess you could trade him to the East. I wouldn't be trading him to another contender in the West.
Right.
But I want Marcus Smart here because I think for postseason play, I definitely want Marcus Smart here just simply because of what he can do on the defensive end, let alone what he does on the offensive
Fair
end.
enough. Fair enough.
And especially, he seems fine coming off the bench. And if he's fine coming off the bench, if you added a guy like Cam Johnson to play the start of that wing, now you can
get
use
a
him
man
as
crush
that
on this guy. All right.
backup. Well, hell, I like guys who shoot over 40% from three and are like long wings. So the guy the Grizzlies have never had.
I'm kidding you.
So I don't know. You go get somebody else, but he's the best player available and the best fit for the Grizzlies. And I don't even think it's close when you talk about fit for what the Grizzlies need and what he would bring to this team. Elwood Shack, one of my favorite places in town. Right now, of course, breakfast time. And over at Elwood's, did you know they serve breakfast? That's right. 7 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Sunday, they open up at 8. Saturday and Sunday, they have a special brunch menu in addition to the regular breakfast menu as well that they serve from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. They've got the barbecue breakfast burrito, the only place in town offering barbecue for breakfast. You can either get brisket or shoulder stuffed with egg, cheddar cheese, jalapenos, onions, potatoes, tomatoes, and their house-made barbecue sauce. They got their cat head biscuits made fresh every single day. Real deal house-made pancakes served with applewood bacon. They got all kinds of great items on the breakfast menu over there. Of course, the lunch and dinner menu. So many unbelievable options from their barbecue, from the smokehouse, to those fish tacos or their burgers or pizzas. They got so many different things on the menu for you to choose from over at Elwood's. For dinner, of course, you can get the ribs for two, served with bean slaw and Texas toast. Their ribs are absolutely out of this world. They also have great sandwiches. All their deli meats are made in-house right there with their pastrami, the corned beef, the smoked turkey, the roast beef, the roast pork, the brisket, all of that stuff in-house. Also, they feature a lot of local stuff. Their bread is baked by D&R Bakery in Cordova. They've got J. Brooks Coffee, which is from right here in town as well. They've got their desserts from Frost Bakery. They deal with a lot of the local people, use a lot of local products over at Elwood Shack. The original location, that's on Summer Avenue, 4523 Summer Avenue. It's in the Lowe's parking lot there at Perkins and Summer. And then the other location, the newer one, is at 4040 Park Avenue, right across the street from the University of Memphis there, Park Avenue. And that one's a lot bigger than the original. Great place. Both of them, same menus. You get that full coffee bar at the Park Avenue location that you can take advantage of as well. It's Elwood's Shack.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
56 and 98.5 FM.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
Make this a magical Christmas with help from Genesis Diamonds. Step into a world of luxury and love. At Genesis, we have what women love, from simple diamond stud earrings to amazing no-con designer bracelets. And you can't miss our best air selection of luxury premium awards watches. For the entire December, Genesis is making everything affordable with 5 years, 0 interest financing. Just diamond price by 60. And let your payment or showcases with exclusive diamond rings. This gives you exquisite craftsmanship and lasting value. All exclusive designers are showcasing their latest creations, and our penetration experts will help you pick out your gifted shirt and tears to your eyes on Christmas morning. So come see us at Genesis for the most romantic and memorable gift of the season. Get holiday store hours, directions, and finance details at GenesisDiamonds.com. Genesis Diamonds, luxury premium alliances. Popular markets extended. See store for details.
Simple, smooth, and every sip is easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mix. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, and taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof, crafted and savored responsibly.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 7:52 is the time. One programming note, Thursday, Ryan Silverfield will be joining us at 8:05 as we preview the Frisco Bowl, which will take place 1 week from tonight down in Texas. Wow, 1 week from tonight, Tigers will be playing West Virginia in the Frisco Bowl. West Virginia continues to have players opt out. Neil Brown's gone. They're looking at couple of different guys, including, as I mentioned earlier, Anthony Becht, Rich Rodriguez, I'm sure a number of others for their head coaching position. In the meantime, Memphis has had a player or two that have opted out, but not the big names, and that's important. I also saw where Ole Miss, gearing up for their Gator Bowl, Jackson Dart is playing. He's not opting out.
Yeah, that surprises me. I would have thought for sure he would opt out, especially with as late as their bowl game is, but I don't know, they might be there may be some money in there that they have found for bowl purposes.
You think a little extra incentive for some of these players to play in the bowl game? You think that may be the case?
I mean, I have no idea what the
and then you got to
I don't know what the rules are or all that stuff. I don't know.
They'd have to do something for it, right?
That's big for Ole Miss. Again, I wouldn't be surprised. I thought Ole Miss might be lose 15, 20 guys at least for this bowl game. But if Dart's playing, that's a good sign, and maybe that means some of the other guys will play as well. But that's certainly that's a good start as far as that is concerned.
That's huge to have your starting quarterback in there.
Just on the talking on the Marcus Smart situation, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Smart, among guys who actually play, third on the team in defensive rating. And he is 1, 2, 3, 5th in net rating. So, the people who think somehow Marcus Smart is bad for the team. When he's on the court, generally good things happen for the Grizzlies.
How do you compare Marcus Smart to Tony Allen when we know Marcus Smart is a better offensive player, but he also has those games where he's kind of Dylan Brooks-esque, will jack up a lot of shots, a lot of threes, and have those games where he's just off. But defensively, we know how good he is. He's been a defensive player of the year. Tony Allen was one of the great defensive players when he was playing for the Grizzlies. Tony Allen was a horrendous offensive player. Teams would leave him alone. You can't leave Marcus Smart alone. But again, Marcus Smart, and I think this is what irks people. Again, I think people are uneducated when it comes to that. Like you said, you just threw up the numbers as far as his net ratings as a defensive player. People know that that's why he's here, the leadership, the proven playoff experience, but mainly the defense. But the offense is at it. It's not that he's a bad offensive player, because he's not. But he'll have those games where he just feels like he needs to shoot a lot. And that brings back some haunting memories of Dylan a little bit. Dylan was a very good defensive player. Tony was a great defensive player. Marcus Smart is a great defensive player and a decent offensive player.
Texter on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line says, why would you tinker with what you've got at this point? Make what you've got better.
Fair question.
Not to mention you've got that player to get us over the hump out right now. His name is Gigi Jackson. Sorry, I love Gigi, but Gigi is not the guy to get you over the hump to an NBA title.
I really believe that Gigi Jackson is going to have a hard time finding playing time when he comes back.
He was going to have a hard time finding playing time if he was healthy to start the year.
It takes nothing away from what he did last year when he was kind of forced into playing all those minutes and really played well. And he's part of the future. Don't get this wrong. But I don't know if he's part of the present.
And the whole point when they say make what you've got better, that's what I'm trying to do. In the playoffs, you're not playing all these guys, so they don't help you in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you got to figure out who you're playing though.
You've got to
when they're all playing well.
So if you can use some of them to get people who you know will play, who are really good players, who will be starters for you and help you in the postseason, you do that. I mean, that's having 12 guys for the playoff doesn't. Who cares?
Well, the guy that's hurt now that they're missing, that can really help a lot more than Gigi Jackson, is Vince Williams. That's a guy who's going to be a big part of it, assuming he comes back and he's healthy and he's back to what Vince can do, that 3-and-D guy. That's a guy who we looked at going into the season. Well, he was hurt, but down the road as a starter. Like, do you start him and have Smart come off the bench? There was that discussion. And that will become a discussion again once he's healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the whole point. I don't think this team right now is the best in the West. I think they're really good.
Right.
One of the best in the West. You tinker in order to become better. And again, for the postseason, you need 8 guys, 9 guys. That's what you want. And if you can improve in that top 8, well, that would be dumb not to do that. If you can use numbers 10 through 13 to improve your 1 through 8, I do that every time. That's not even a decision. That's an easy decision to be made. If you, again, right now feel like you have a chance to win an NBA title. And with this core and group, I think they believe that they absolutely can. And so if you have that opportunity, you 100% have to go for it.
I just can't imagine. I'd have to go through a lot of history, but that teams that have won championships during their playoff run and championship series, played 10, 11 guys. Just, it's not the case. It's normally they're playing 8, 9 guys.
Make it a magical Christmas this year with the help of Genesis Diamonds. Go see the folks at Genesis over at Poplar, Perkins Extended. And right now, take advantage of 5-year 0-interest financing. That's across the board. If you got any beautiful gift idea, and you can get 5 years 0-interest financing at Genesis Diamonds, whether it be an engagement ring, if you're thinking about popping the question this holiday season, or maybe it's just a beautiful pair of earrings or a pendant or a bracelet. whatever it is, these beautiful gifts from the top designers. Absolutely stunning stuff. Unbelievable selection. Great prices. And 5-year zero interest financing. They got a great staff to help you pick out that perfect gift that's going to make someone extremely happy this holiday season. You can go to GenesisDiamonds.com to get all the details on the financing, get holiday store hours, and more. But it's best to just go see them in person. Genesis Diamonds, Poplar at Perkins Extended.
Hour 2 on the way. We open up with Humdinger's Trivia. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I need to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear. Please listen carefully for our menu listing. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it back. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous. Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South. Its size is incredibly different. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for a limited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo. And members of our Jack says Top Gun 2770 Witten Road, TopGunMemphis.com. Always ship with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
I've always gotten tons of UTIs. Cranberry products never worked for me, and I was desperate for a way to be proactive. I'm Jenna Ryan, CEO and founder of Eucora. We've worked with doctors to develop effective urinary tract health products. Eucora is helping over 100,000 women stay healthy. Ready to join them? Get 30% off at eucora.com/radio. That's UQORA.com/radio.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Witten Road in Monmouth. Pick up DoorDash, Uber Eats on the line at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Starting to build in the Midtown area. Some would say right on schedule over here on 240 North at Lamar. Traffic still decent right now. 40 East across Hernando de Soto Bridge coming over from West Memphis. Trying to load up on Sam Cooper through that road construction there around Perkins. Be careful. Throughout the day, it can run a little bit slow there on that section of Sam Cooper. Hey, affordable, compassionate veterinarian care for your pet at the Humane Society of Memphis Shelby County. Log on to their website today at memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
.804 the time. Welcome back. Hour 2 of the program on this Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers with you. We're in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. The ultimate game room and fall sale going on right now at 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Currently cloudy, 51 degrees. We'll get up to 55 today. It will stay cloudy throughout the day. Could see a morning shower, maybe even an early afternoon shower. Then tonight, cloudy skies becoming partly cloudy after midnight. 33 for a low tonight. and then 28 degrees for your low during the overnight hours into Wednesday morning. Tomorrow, though, sunshine, but only 50 degrees for your high temperature. James Gaddis Jewelers, second hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. I'll give you more of the details. Of course, Christmas right around the corner. That's coming up in just a few moments. But right now, it's time for Humdinger's Trivia.
That's right. And of course, when it's Tuesday, that means Taco Tuesday at Humdinger's with their chicken and fish tacos, just $2 each. That's all day, each and every Tuesday that you can take advantage of that amazing deal that they offer you over at Humdinger's. Those tacos, those are big old tacos for just $2 is absolutely fantastic deal on those. Of course, so many great menu items for you to choose from their appetizers like the wings or the crab cakes or the Humdinger shrimp or the crispy calamari to their fantastic grilled fish options that they have with some of those great toppings and great sides. Or you can get the crispy fish and chips that you can take advantage of. They also have some great sandwiches, salads, all kinds of great things to choose from. The po' boys. They've got the Piri Piri burger, absolutely delicious. You could choose from it all over at Humdinger's. And you can check out all the different options to choose from by going to humdingersrestaurant.com. You can see the entire menu there. Also online, you can order. You can make an online order right there to make it easy for you to go by and get your food over at Humdinger's. You can also get catering information. If you've got a holiday party or any event coming up that you need catered, Humdinger's makes a great option for catering those events. People absolutely will love Humdinger's catering those events for you. Again, you can get that information on the website as well at humdingersrestaurant.com. If you can answer our trivia question correctly and be the first to do so, you can win a $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. You can answer via the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line by texting in at 901-360-8255. That's 360-8255. Text in your answer. First correct answer gets the $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. And if you have won in the last 30 days, you are not eligible and you only get one guess. So don't try and guess multiple times. You will be disqualified and we will hunt you down and do serious damage to you. No, I'm just kidding. But you will be disqualified. Here is today's question. On Sunday, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills had 3 touchdowns passing and 3 touchdowns rushing. He became the first ever player in the NFL to do that, have 3 and 3. It was also his 5th career game with at least 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, which broke a tie with someone to make it the most ever. Who was he tied with previously? Who did he break the tie with for the most career games with at least 2 touchdown passes and 2 touchdown runs? 360-8255, 360-8255. Text in those answers. First correct answer will get that $25 gift certificate to Humdinger's. Who did Josh Allen surpass for the most career games with at least 2 touchdown passes and 2 touchdown runs?
From Josh Allen to Jalen Allen, no relation, the former Memphis Tiger defensive end who was with the Broncos, and I'm not sure if he was ever active, but Jalen Allen is signing with the Memphis Showboats. And last week, I think it was announced that Joe Skates, who had a cup of coffee with the Jaguars, former Memphis Tiger wide receiver, also signing with the Memphis Showboats.
Yeah, getting a couple of former Tigers, local players. Good to see those guys kind of getting an opportunity to come back here. Hopefully make a team and be able to play. And the Showboats have a lot of roster spots to fill, and they're going about doing that. So good to see.
Well, Allen was a one-man wrecking crew at times. Really good player, and it's nice. You need to have that local connection for the local audience to get the fans excited about a team. The team's got to play well. When you have some of those local players playing for them, it's just added excitement for them. So good on Jalen Allen and Joe Skates.
And the Showboats have a lot of new stuff for this year for season ticket holders. Steve Macy will be here on Thursday to talk more about it. But they have announced some, and there's still some other stuff they're announcing about benefits for season ticket holders for this season. So they're making it very enticing for folks, if you want to get out to games, to become a season ticket holder for the Showboats.
Yesterday, I watched a documentary on HBO about yacht rock, which again was something that was made up, but has become a genre of music. And when I was watching it, and I'm thinking yacht rock, I think about what's the group called with the Showboats?
The Yacht Club.
The Yacht Club. Yeah, I always think about that when anytime I hear yacht rock. So the Yacht Club, you can become a member of the Yacht Club. Yesterday, they announced the Heisman finalists. No surprise, Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, Cam Ward makes it as well. They are your 4 finalists, and the award presentation will be this Saturday. So those 4 will be in New York City. Bryson Daly does not make it from Army, despite his numbers, and other terrific players. Shedeur Sanders from Colorado, just to name a few. But I don't have a vote. I wish I did have a vote. That vote would go the way of Travis Hunter. There are some people that don't think Travis Hunter should be the right pick. John Varlas is one that doesn't believe so. That, he's talked about other two-way guys that have played. I think it's so unique, and the level that he played at for a 10-win team, to me, makes him the pick. Ashton Genty, incredible. But again, as I said yesterday and I pointed out, there are guys that have done what he's done. And he may become number 1. He may end up beating Barry Sanders. A couple of more games than Barry Sanders played. But he may be the number 1 running back of all time as far as single-season rushing yards. But he's still behind Kevin Smith right now, again, who finished 8th in the Heisman voting, playing for a mid-major like Boise State is, playing for UCF, who's now, of course, in the Big 12. But I think what Travis Hunter is doing, the number of touchdown catches and receptions, it's not like he's out there for a novelty that goes out for a pass. The guy plays basically every play. Cam Ward, very good year, but if they faded Miami at the end. Dylan Gabriel, undefeated Oregon Ducks, their leader. Brilliant career for Dylan Gabriel, but he'll come up short, probably finish 3rd.
Yeah, I thought Shedeur Sanders had a good chance of getting there, but I guess probably the fact that people weren't going to vote for 2 Colorado players probably hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabriel gets the reward for team success, basically. You guys are the only undefeated team, so we'll vote for somebody from him. Not that he had a bad year, but I don't think people were thinking of Dylan Gabriel like, Heisman winning type year. So I think he just kind of got rewarded for that. But I don't think there's any doubt that Hunter will win it. I have no problem with that. I don't have no problem with if Genty were to win it.
Elijah, what are Gabriel's numbers? Can you look them up? What his current stats are?
So it's, but yeah, I would guess that it will end up being a pretty fairly wide margin that Hunter ends up winning by, but we shall see.
Yeah, I don't get it where people look at what he's done and kind of shrug their shoulders. I think it's absolutely amazing what he's done. Again, the production from both sides. Not a novelty act on one side, and then he's really good on the other. He's really good on both sides. What do you got?
Dylan Gabriel this year has thrown for 3,500 yards, 73% completion percentage, 28-6 touchdown to interception ratio. Also has 7 rushing touchdowns on top of that.
Yeah, those are really good numbers for an undefeated team. And let's be honest, Oregon is Oregon. They're still a big name, and Nike and Phil Knight and that whole connection, but they still play out there in Oregon and don't get what I think the attention that they probably deserve. They're going to get it in the playoffs, but I don't think they get that. So Gabriel, who's bounced around, UCF, Oklahoma, has put up numbers everywhere he's gone. People maybe don't give him the benefit of the doubt. He's not winning. He's not beating out Genty or Hunter, but he should more than likely finish 3rd. Again, Daly could have easily been invited. But Army, you talk about a team that was overlooked. What Army did this year?
Yeah, I mean, again, not that ever thought Daly would be invited, but numbers-wise, he should be. Like, I mean, if you everything else, like, I mean, again, the numbers are absolutely incredible. I honestly think Cam Ward will finish third, but
do you?
I would have voted for Cam Ward third, but again, I don't. Gabriel, because of the late losses by Miami, Gabriel certainly could get the benefit of the doubt there again just by team success. But yeah, I would go Hunter, Genty, Ward would be my ballot, but I don't have a ballot. So if I did have a ballot, I wouldn't be able to say that because they'd get really mad at me.
They do.
Therefore, since I'm paying it, that means I definitely don't have a ballot.
Can you go public after the vote, after the announcement? Yeah. Okay, so that's no problem. It's just before you can't tell everybody who you voted for. As far as quarterbacks are concerned, Carson Beck. A lot of people want to know what his status will be for the playoffs for Georgia. Did suffer an elbow injury. According to a report yesterday, he and his family are exploring treatment options, and there is no current timetable on his return. That doesn't sound promising.
No, I don't think there's any chance he plays in the playoff at all, even if they go to the championship game. It's funny. No kidding, he suffered an elbow injury. During the game when they first did it, when they came out after time, like, he suffered a hand injury.
Right.
No, he didn't.
Right.
No, he didn't.
Looked like a hyperextension of his elbow.
You trying to throw a ball like 50 yards in the air and having your arm stopped immediately, that ain't hurting your hand. Because they didn't even hit his hand. They hit his arm. Like, that's hurting your elbow. Your elbow is not made to do that, to be in that middle of that motion and then just stop suddenly. There's no doubt it was an elbow injury. And, I mean, I don't see... I would be stunned if he's able to play. I mean, that, especially when you're like, if you're exploring treatment options, that means doctors don't even know what to do. I don't think if you made the championship game, I guess that's 40 days or so. Maybe you could get it ready, but I would be surprised. And I'd be surprised if they could make the championship game without Carson Beck.
Yeah, well, again, this Stockton kid, who, let's be honest, unless you're a Georgia fan, nobody heard of, comes in, looks pretty good, and then he throws a horrible pick, which nearly cost them. I just don't know what to expect. It's going to be a lot of ETN, I can tell you that much. A lot of running the ball. Is Georgia still capable? I guess they are, but I certainly wouldn't lay any dineros on them, not with a backup quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, as we talked about on the show yesterday, it seems like every capable quarterback out there that's not in the playoff is hitting the portal, except those who are getting ready for the NFL draft. Duke starting quarterback Malik Murphy plans to enter the NCAA transfer portal. He led Duke to a 9-3 record, set the school record with 26 touchdown passes. He threw for 2,933 yards in his lone season at Duke. I would imagine he passed Daniel Jones with that 26 touchdown season. And Duke is going to be playing Ole Miss in the Gator Bowl. So Jackson Dart will play for Ole Miss. Their starting quarterback, Malik Murphy, will not be playing for Duke, their starting quarterback.
Again, you have to do your free agency tour and see what is out there. It'd be dumb not to. Unless you're being paid so handsomely where you are that you don't think there's anything better out there, which I'm not surprised that that's not the case at Duke.
Yes, but again, not that these individual players owe anything to the program, but the fate of your team in the bowl game, for those who care, and apparently there's not a lot of people that do, depends a lot on that quarterback. Not that they can't win with the backup quarterback, but I guess you got to do what's more important for number one.
That's correct.
But here's a guy like Jackson Dart.
Take care of me.
Here's Jackson Dart, who's looking NFL, and he's going out there and he's playing. Now, I don't know if there wasn't this transfer portal, if these guys would be opting out. They probably would not, especially those who aren't eligible to go to the NFL. But Dart is one who certainly is getting ready for the next level, hopefully. Wants to go out with his team, playing well and winning a Gator Bowl title. And again, the Gator Bowl, it's not part of the playoffs. It's a disappointment. But they're there, and they're there to try to win a football game. Some players are, I'm not saying it's wrong to leave the team. It's not in this day and age. You got to do what's right for yourself. But there will be quarterbacks that are getting ready for the draft that will opt out. Now, Shedeur Sanders is not going to opt out. His father would not allow that to happen. They're going to play, the Sanders boys, and you got, I would imagine, Hunter is going to win a Heisman, and he's going to play, according to Coach Prime, in their bowl game. I respect that.
Really, Jackson Dart, it's the fact that since losing to Florida, they want to win something Gator-related this year. And after his performance at the end of that game, certainly for him, he may want to redeem himself in something Gator-related. We do have a correct answer in our Humdinger's trivia. And Elijah, there will be tiebreaker services needed here. The question was Josh Allen, with his 5th game of at least 2 touchdown passes and 2 touchdown runs, broke a tie with what former quarterback for the most such games ever? Lots of correct answers, actually. Lots of incorrect answers. Michael Vick was a very popular answer. That is not correct. Randall Cunningham, popular correct answer. That is not correct. But a lot of folks did come with the correct answer, and that would be Steve Young. Steve Young has 4, or had 4, games with 2 touchdowns passing and 2 touchdowns rushing. And now Josh Allen with 5, including the first ever 3-3. So Steve Young was the correct answer. There were 4 of those correct answers that came in with the same timestamp. So, Elijah, this was, I don't even know if you'll know what this is, who this is. I need you to choose Blanche, Dorothy, Rose, or Sophia.
Do you know who he's talking about?
I have no idea on this one.
His 4 former wives.
You don't know who the Golden Girls are?
I'm too young, I suppose.
Oh, my goodness gracious. What a sad country we live in when you youngsters don't even know great television like the Golden Girls. Anyway, Blanche, Dorothy, Rose, or Sophia?
Let's go with Dorothy.
Dorothy, all right. We'll be contacting our winner and let you know how to get your $25 gift certificate to Humdingers. If you did have Steve Young as your answer and you don't hear from us, you either lost the tiebreaker or you weren't amongst that tied group. Do you know who Betty White is?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
She was one of the Golden Girls.
You were out. She would be Rose. She would be Rose
by the way,
Nyland.
you picked Dorothy, the beautiful and vivacious B. Arthur.
Do you know who B. Arthur is?
Not a clue.
Okay.
A voice deeper than yours, and you have a pretty deep voice.
You just chose her. You just chose B. Arthur.
You're a big B. Arthur fan. I'm a big fan of James Gaddis Jewelers and everything they do. I went and visited James. I was over at the store yesterday, and they're having a great month, and that's because of people like you. You know the quality of jewelry you're getting when you go to James Gaddis Jewelers. That's why there are so many repeat customers. And with a couple of weeks to go until Christmas, they got all kinds of great deals. Go to the website, check it out at GaddisJewelers.com. But better yet, just go visit them. 4900 Poplar Avenue, right in the heart of East Memphis, between Mendenhall and St. Nick. Go on in there. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings, whether it's James or any of the great folks right there at James Gaddis Jewelers. They will take care of you. They are full-service jewelers with 2 bench jewelers ready to serve you daily. All their diamonds are independently graded and certified. They know there's a lot of competition out there, so they make sure they have a price point to suit everyone's budget. And there will be a lot of people that will be getting engaged over the holidays. If you are one and you're looking for that special ring, make sure James Gaddis Jewelers is one of the jewelers that you check out. Again, for engagement rings, wedding rings, personally designed wedding sets, and all your other jewelry needs, from watches to other types of rings, to necklaces and bracelets and pendants and earrings. It's James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar between Mendenhall and St. Nick. On the web at GaddisJewelers.com. A Memphis staple for nearly 60 years. When we come back, Daily Memphian's Tim Buckley will join us to talk some Memphis athletics. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting
for someone you love. Relaxation, perfectly gifted, is right for everyone. The gift of tranquility with a Gold Spa gift card is perfect for anyone who deserves a moment to unwind, refresh, and rejuvenate. Because relaxation is the greatest gift of all. Happy holidays from Gould's. Gold Spa, locally owned and operated since 1932. For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farm Law, to help them make sure work on demanding chores. Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list. From hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farm Law that's right for you.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. Still working with a couple of accidents out here. It's actually just now starting to get a little bit busy on Bill Morris Parkway coming inbound. That's westbound on Bill Morris, passing Ridgeway, getting up on that ramp to 240. TDOT's been out here with a couple of disabled vehicles in the Midtown area as that starts to pick up northbound on 240 up by Lamar. Shop now and save during this holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
To reveal the full spectrum of dazzling color.
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:27 is the time, just about halfway home on this Tuesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Tim Buckley joins us in just a moment. Coming up in hour number 3, Elliot Perry at 9:05, and then we'll talk some college football with Blake Topmeyer. That'll be coming up at 9:25. We talked a lot about Memphis Tigers basketball, and we'll continue that. Talk some football as well with Tim. Last night, it was Penny Hardaway meeting the media, talking about that loss to Arkansas State, talking about their game coming up against Clemson. We're getting into the meat of this non-conference schedule. Actually, already have been into the meat of it, but now a huge 4-game swing for them with 2 on the road, 2 at home. And this could be a real telltale of what will happen later this year as long as Memphis does their job in conference. If they can do well these next 4 games, probably get back into the top 25, you're looking at a high seed, assuming they win the conference, and maybe wouldn't even have to win the conference. But if they struggle, that could be an issue. So let's, without further ado, talk about the Memphis Tigers. And let's talk with Tim Buckley. He is the Daily Memphian Deputy Sports Editor and Senior Writer. You can follow him on Twitter at BuckleyTim18. And he joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Hey, Tim, how are you?
Doing good, fellas. I'm just glad that I'm going before your next 2 guests instead of after them, because those 2 are tough to top.
We're a nice appetizer, right, before the main meal, but we always love having you on, Tim, and you've written a lot lately about the Tigers, both football and Ryan Silverfield. We'll get to that a little bit later, and then, of course, the Tiger basketball team, Sunday's disappointment. People are a little worried. They're hoping it's not a precursor of things to come. This seems like a completely different team with a different attitude. But what did you think after the way they played at Maui? They came back. They won the game against La Tech. Did not play well in the first half of that one, but did play well in the second half. This time, they played poorly in both halves and got stung by the Arkansas State Red Wolves.
Some people might have said that it was predictable because after, the big-name teams that they had in Maui, the ranked teams, the big win over over UConn that, you see a couple of names that perhaps are perceived as lesser in status with Louisiana Tech and Arkansas State, and they fall into that trap of what happened last season. And then you think, wait a minute, this is a whole different team. Why should any of that even impact what these guys are doing? Yet they ended up doing basically the same thing, which was, they weren't there from the get-go. They got into a hole. They got out of it one time. It bit them the second time. And so then you start to wonder, okay, it's happened 2 years in a row with a completely made-over roster. So is it something preparation coaching-wise? Is it coincidence? Is it just, doesn't matter who the player pieces are? Guys for transfers from bigger programs just tend to look down on lesser opponents. What is it? And it's hard to put your finger on any one thing, but it certainly happened to them again this season.
You wrote that it is not yet time to panic. So why is it not time to panic?
Well, it's a one-off. They did get away with it against Louisiana Tech, and if they had managed to get away with it from Arkansas State, they'd still be nationally ranked and going into this really, incredible non-conference stretch here of the next four with a ball of confidence. One is not a trend. Even two is not a trend. But if you start conference play with 3, 4, 5, 6 like you did last season, then it's time to panic.
All right, so this stretch that's coming up, Clemson, Virginia on the road, Ole Miss, Mississippi State at home. It may be early to start talking about, which games you need to win, what can you afford to lose and still be this and that. We all play that guessing game. This is all with the assumption that they don't have the conference season that they had last year. Let's assume for a second that they take care of business for the most part in the conference. You're going to lose a few games, but they take care of business. Winning all 4 of these games, winning 3 out of these 4 games, how important is that to have a really good seed with the assumption you're back in the dance?
Man, there was a lot of qualifiers in that question. Let me look at the flow chart here.
Yeah.
Look, I think if they go into this stretch and they walk away 2-2, and especially if the 2 wins are over any of the 2 ranked teams, Clemson at 16, Ole Miss at 19, Mississippi State at 25, they're sitting golden. 3, 4, like my friends in Louisiana would say, that's lagniappe, a little something extra. Walk away from it 2-2. You got 2 tough ones on the road. In theory, you should take care of business at 2 at home, but if you slip up on one, but you knock off a Clemson instead, I think you've set yourself up for very good position going into conference play and taking care of all of the seed needs, wants, and desires that you have.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
What do you think is the most likely outcome of this 4-game stretch?
Gosh, that's one of those if I knew I'd live in Vegas questions. Although, you know what? I don't like the heat in Vegas.
You don't even have to live in Vegas.
Actually, you don't have to live in Vegas anymore. You
can take care of that right here in Tennessee.
That line worked 20 years ago. I can't get away with it anymore. No, look, I think they're going to go. I think they're going to go play really good on the road against for Virginia and win one for Ed Scott. And I think maybe they get a split against the Mississippi schools. Maybe if Cisse just plays his head off against Ole Miss, haven't had the recent experience there, that'll help them a little bit. I can see a road split and a home split.
Why do you think it is that it seems like under Penny, when they're playing teams that are ranked ahead of them or are just ranked and Memphis isn't and Memphis is the underdog, they always seem to get up, not every single game, but for the most part, they always seem to get up for those games. They've done well. They've pulled upsets off. And then sometimes they'll have a debacle like they had on Sunday.
Yeah, they're Well, I don't think you can say they're a team because we don't know what this team has done, and this team is so drastically different than last season. Who knows? But historically, they're a program that plays down and it plays up. And, whether that's, again, player mentality or whether it's coaching staff mentality or whether it's coincidence, I don't know which. But they certainly tend to do it. And you know what? Who wouldn't get up when you hear, hey, we're going to play, number blank team? It's just, it's a natural instinct. And who wouldn't say, you know what, we're going to cruise and then we're going to go have a nice Sunday dinner when you hear Sunbelt Conference School? Mm-hmm. It's a natural instinct. It's not right, but and obviously they learned that the hard way on Sunday. But maybe it's just their human thing.
From what we've seen so far, and again, it's still very early in the season with a brand new team, but what do you like about this team and what concerns you about this team going forward?
Well, what I like is they genuinely seem to like playing with each other, which I could not have said of that team a season ago.
Right.
Those guys were miserable. I mean, that's like being asked to spend a week locked in your cabin with your mother-in-law, the way those two did not get along with each other, speaking specifically of the guard line for them last season. So, I think they have that going for them, which is a really good thing. Now, look, did they look happy on Sunday? No, but generally so far this season, they seem to have some genuine, and I hate to use the word, but genuine chemistry. What I don't like is they haven't figured out yet how to play when Tyrese Hunter either is taken out of the game by great game planning, which is what happened in that Auburn game, and C.J. Haggerty was basically, allowed to go get his, and they took the 3-point line away, and they were happy to concede whatever Haggerty can get, and it worked big time. Or if he just has an off game, which I don't know if it was game planning Sunday or if Hunter was just off, but they need something else going, whether it's a huge game from Colby Rogers in addition to whatever Haggerty does. Because, Penny spoke about hero syndrome and all that. I don't know if that was really the case or not, but they need more. And the other one is with a rotation of three bigs when one of them gets in foul trouble, and they got away with it one time in Maui and not so much the other time because they lost, Danger early in one game and with fouls, and they lost Nicholas Jourdain in another game with fouls. I don't know if he's going to do anything with that open piece at the break or not. It's sounding less and less like that's a possibility. But, man, I would like to have some front in the depth court, because without it, if you lose one of those one of those three, to either injury or to the foul trouble or whatever the case may be, you could be in real trouble.
Tim Buckley is the Daily Memphian deputy sports editor, senior writer. You can follow him on Twitter at BuckleyTim18. He's joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that situation. You beat me to the punch about Tyrese Hunter. He had a game which was either an off game or they did a great job against him, and it put the onus all on Haggerty. I mean, all on Haggerty. And a lot of guys are standing around and watching him try to score and beat Arkansas State single-handedly. That's not going to work most of the time. But I was more concerned coming out of that game with the lack of communication defensively. I mean, there was confusion. Now, I didn't go to the game. I watched it at home on television, listened to the analysts, and really he did a good job in kind of showing what was going on. There'd be two or three guys going after one player, and they would leave guys open on the perimeter. So the communication, which we saw actually executed very well earlier in the season, was not there on Sunday. I don't know why, but if that's going to happen, that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, they're terrible at rotating. And Jourdain especially, I think, is someone who, if he's locked in, you're okay. If he's in la-la land, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And there's times when it seems like he's in la-la land. I mean, I think he's a nice piece to have, and seems like one of those really good guy type players. But when he's costing you defensively, it's hard to make up for the deficiencies that are kind of obvious to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The on the football side of things, now that the regular season is completely done, all we got is the bowl game next week. What's your assessment of this football season at the University of Memphis?
It fell short, which is harsh to say of a team that's, nationally ranked not only in the Coaches Poll, the Writers Poll, but also in the CFP.
Mm-hmm.
But it fell short. Not only was there no conference championship, there was no appearance in the championship game. One stumble cost you. They could have gotten away with losing to Navy. That was, excuse me, fellas. If you're gonna lose, at the time, that was a respectable loss, if there's any such thing. The UTSA stumble was not. It bit them. So yeah, they fell short, especially considering that everything was in place. Their defense was much improved from last season. Obviously, Seth Hennigan at quarterback, you're sound there. They had their weapons back. They had the productive, SEC transfer running back. It was set up for them, and they didn't pull it off. So, and I think Ryan Silverfield will be the very first to admit that. I mean, he's as harsh with his analysis of how things ended up as anybody. So me saying it, is nothing compared to, I think, what Ryan sees with his own eyes.
Are you surprised that they decided that they wanted to play in the Frisco Bowl as opposed to those Florida Bowls, which was being thrown around? Many people thought it would be one of those games. They ended up picking the Frisco Bowl on the 17th, 1 week from tonight.
Initially I was, but then when you hear the explanation as to why, it becomes a little more palatable, a little easier to understand. And you know what? Communication goes a long way. When you communicate, when you get your message out there, when you explain yourself, even when you spin yourself, it's a lot easier for a fan base or whatever the case may be to understand the why behind it. But when there's no understanding the why, it leaves you kind of scratching your head, I think, which was the gut reaction for a lot of people. Look, the loyalists, they'll be happy with everything. You can never say anything wrong with the program. That's always going to be the case. But I think there was a pretty solid number that were going, wait, what? Frisco? Where is that?
Right.
Not San Francisco, Frisco. What's going on? But you know what? The things that I think they pushed the most were the fact that they wanted a Power Four, and that's completely laudable. And the other, and Ed Scott was perfectly candid about this. There was financial considerations. It's a lot cheaper to play before Christmas instead of after Christmas because you don't have to pay to house players after the dorms close in between semesters. You don't have to pay to feed them. It would be more expensive to travel to certain places. So, look, they never wanted Hawaii, and I get that, frankly, not so much because of the whole COVID situation bowl that they didn't play it over there, but because of the fact that basketball was just there, and it would be a tough sell for the fan base. The two Florida Bowls, I think if they could have gotten a Power Four matchup in Boca, I think they'd be there now. Is that bowl any more, high profile than Frisco? Not necessarily, but it just seems, to old guys like me to be more of a palatable location to travel to than
that's where the old people
Texas.
go. They go to Florida.
Yeah, exactly.
But who pays
how
more?
the kids feel about it,
Yeah.
who knows?
But who pays more? Do you have any idea? Does Frisco pay as much as Gasparilla and Boca?
Well, I don't know what Boca pays, but I'm going to give you a little perspective. And first of all, Gasparilla was never in the cards. Gasparilla was in cahoots with Tulane all the way.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
Yeah. That was. I had a source who told me that before it was all announced.
Mm-hmm.
That was why Gasparilla was never even a consideration. I think they would have been thrilled with it, but Gasparilla wasn't having that, and really more so ESPN, because let's not kid ourselves. But in terms of the payout, when the Tigers, okay, the Frisco Bowl payout is $650,000, right? When the Tigers and I actually should say when myself and a buddy, I think you'll know who, Greg, looked this up last night. Do you know what the payout was for the New Orleans Bowl when Memphis went there in 2003?
300?
$750,000.
It was more?
They made more in 2003 than they're going to make
Get
next
outta
week
here.
at the Frisco Bowl.
Well,
what? And the actual payout, the money goes to the conference, they get divvied up. It really doesn't matter how much you make because all you're doing is you're playing for your conference pool.
Right.
But still, I mean, that puts it in perspective.
Well, and now a lot of them, and I don't know if that's the case with this one, but like it's tied into how many, like, so part of your
Selling
payout
tickets.
is your tickets. Like, sell your tickets
Yes.
and you can make the money. If not, well,
Yes.
then you're not making the money.
And I asked Ed Scott what his ticket number was, what they had to sell. And at the time that I spoke with him, which was last Friday night, he couldn't give me that exact number. And to be fair, I understood why. It was because he still didn't have a count on how many of that that allotment was comped or not. So he didn't know the actual number that they had to sell. But you're right, it's tied to tickets. That's one reason too why they didn't go to Hawaii. You know, that the burden of that expense falls on the program. It comes out of the profit.
Yeah.
That's why teams don't take bands a lot of times. They don't want to pay to put the tuba player up in the courtyard.
I never really thought Hawaii was an option anyway, and Texas is a little bit easier to drive than it is to Florida, so I understand.
Are you a fan of Scooter's Coffee?
you
I had never heard of Scooter's Coffee.
We have one here, don't we?
Yeah, we got them in town.
Poplar
They
Avenue.
do.
Yeah, they do. Real quick, Tim. Do you know this? Does the conference, when they split the bowl games, the money that comes in, they split. Are they splitting only with the teams that made it to a bowl, or are they splitting with everybody?
Each conference has individual distribution plans. I'm not certain on what the Americans was. I know how the Sun Belt used to do it, but I'm going to look into that. Good question.
He is Tim Buckley. He's the sports writer for the Daily Memphian. He's also their deputy sports editor and senior writer. That means he's old. He's been around a long time. You can follow him on Twitter. I'm kidding. At BuckleyTim18. Tim, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
I would say the truth hurts, but I'm numb to it now, Greg.
Hey,
care, fellas.
I'm with you, brother. Take care.
it easy.
You too.
Yeah, I think the bowl money goes into the large pool. Now, I think you might get an extra share or whatever based off of that, but it goes into the overall conference pool of money, and I think even non-bowl teams get some of that, but I don't know for sure. The American, all of them I think are a little bit different, and I don't know for sure exactly how the American handles that.
See, I think you should reward the teams that made it to a bowl game by giving them the split and not including the teams that didn't make it to a bowl game. But that's just me.
Folks, if you're moving, that can be a stressful time. But when you get the professionals to do that for you, to help you with that, well, that makes it a lot less stressful, that's for sure. Call Black Tie Moving. Have them be that company for you. They are the best in the business. The professionals know exactly what they're doing. And folks that use Black Tie Moving will tell you that. They rave about the experience they have when they use Black Tie Moving. 901-316-6196 is the phone number. BlackTieMoving.com/Memphis. That's the website. Talk with the folks at Black Tie, and they'll work with you to come up with a plan for your move that fits your needs and your budget, and they give you no obligation quote up front. You know, your stuff's going to be taken care of. You know, your stuff's getting where it's going without any issues, without any problems. Matter of fact, during the move, if you have any questions or any things that come up, well, you can give them a call. They have a moving concierge available to you 24/7 to answer those questions. So it's a stress-free move for you. Talk to Black Tie Moving, 901-316-6196, or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis.
You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ.
When you're working outdoors, unpredictability is the norm. So tackle the toughest jobs with the 2025 Honda Pioneer 7. This rugged side-by-side is powered in any party with reliable torque for towing and smooth shifting for trails. And you can choose between 3 trims, standard, plus, and the Trim Timber Force Edition. Cultivate everyone's adventures with your 2025 Honda Pioneer 7 at your typical Honda Center Honda, 5680 South Hill Road,
Home ownership. At Progressive, we know it's part of the American dream. It's more aggressive fruit plan. And also your new fire pit, which subject to visit your gazebo or place. Prices with your big general contractor with a star-spangled protection. Progressive, which can help keep the American dream of home ownership
Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they have to move because you know it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them for Christmas. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstock, one place to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits. And all fire pits at Family Leisure are now 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock, ready for Christmas delivery, and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for Christmas. Just come on by and check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find. Family Leisure. It's right at I-40 where family and fun come together for Christmas.
Family Leisure, 2120 Whitney Road in Memphis, right off I-40.
The holidays are near, and Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators is here to make this season extra cozy and cheerful. For the first 50 customers who purchase a new Carrier system, tankless water heater, or a whole home generator, we have a special gift for you. Choose from a $500 gift card or 60 months no interest financing. And don't forget about Choate's Refer a Friend referral program, where you can earn up to $500. Simply refer a friend to use our services, and if they become a customer, you could earn up to a $500 Visa gift card. But hurry, this festive offer will only last through December 20th. Visit ChoatesHVAC.com or call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. And turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family this holiday season.
Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
I was reading this story during the break on Awful Announcing, on the site Awful Announcing. The Class 6A state championship game in Missouri between Nixa and DeSmet began with play-by-play voice James Stanley and color commentator Cam Thomas in the broadcast booth Friday night. It ended with just Stanley on the call after Thomas was removed at halftime and the Missouri State High School Activities Association issued an apology for his apparent bias. At the start of the second half, the executive director, Dr. Jennifer Ruckstad, joined the TV broadcast to address the change. Quote, I wanted to talk to everyone who purchased this broadcast. We needed to make a change here at halftime. I want you to hear my personal apology about some of the things that were communicated in the first half. I wanted to let all of our viewers know that our members are all in equal standing. We wanted to let our viewers know that we take our broadcast seriously. We respect all our teams, no matter where they come from. How about that? Mid-game, halftime, they removed the analyst for being biased.
Interesting. DeSmet High School, the former high school of Blake Ahern, former Grizzlies assistant.
Really?
And Tony Vitello.
Really? That's some good knowledge. The Big Ten Championship, obviously, was won by Oregon. They knocked off Penn State. The game was in Indianapolis. Indianapolis, also famous for a place called St. Elmo's. You ever been to St. Elmo's?
I have not. I heard there was a fire there.
When?
It was in the 80s, I believe.
That's a bad joke. That's a bad joke. All right, yeah. So I've never been there. My son's been there, and of course they're famous for the shrimp. And the sauce that they have, the cocktail sauce, is supposedly really hot, which would not jive with
Like
me.
a fire.
Like a fire. So anyway, they had for a warm-up act before the Big Ten championship, Joey Chestnut. You've heard of Joey Chestnut. He holds a lot of food eating records. So they had their St. Elmo's Shrimp Cocktail Eating Championship. Now, everything this guy does blows me away. It's shocking because I can't believe people can survive eating this much food. Joey Chestnut set a world record eating St. Elmo shrimp cocktail. The dude ate 21 pounds of shrimp in 8 minutes. Okay, let that settle in. Apparently, it maybe settled in his stomach for a while before it probably came back up. But he ate 21 pounds, or a small child, in 8 minutes. How can the human body not reject that immediately? How can you not implode, die? I mean, I don't get it. 21 pounds. I was thinking about that as I read it. I thought, I probably can eat 2 quarter-pounders. 2. That's a half a pound. This guy ate 21 pounds of shrimp in 8 minutes. Not over the course of a day, which would have been a lot. He ate a dog. Small dog, but he ate a dog. 21 pounds.
Well, yeah, he eats.
I know, but it's just
80 hot dogs
still
or whatever.
blows me away. It blows me away. Do you guys like shrimp cocktail?
Love shrimp cocktail.
I do.
Okay. How much shrimp cocktail could you eat?
A lot.
Tell me how much a lot is.
I have no idea. I've never
In
weighed it.
8 minutes, how many? I mean, I don't even know what a pound would be. How many actually? Usually you get what? 6 shrimp cocktail?
Yeah, 6 to 8.
6 to 8, okay. That's not a pound.
I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
Depends how big the shrimp are.
Even the big shrimp, the jumbo shrimp, 6 or 8 of them, is that a pound?
Maybe
it's maybe it's a half pound. I can't even imagine. I mean, how much can you eat? Well, how much do you think you could eat? A pound?
Maybe a pound.
Maybe a
if
pound?
I'm starving.
Eli?
No, I could definitely go over a pound.
Could you go for 2? Maybe
But
2?
I don't know what it, but yeah.
Can you do it in 8 minutes?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is 21 pounds in 8 minutes. That, my friends, is sick. The preceding announcement made on behalf of Major League Baseball.
Right, Matt. I can't. There was a big time basketball player that was at DeSmet High School when I was up in St. Louis, and I can't find the dude's name.
Maybe you can.
And it wasn't Blake Ahern. I remember Ahern being there.
Is the info wrong? You just gave me?
There was another one that was there, and I cannot think of his name.
Where is it located? Is it near St. Louis?
It's in St. Louis.
Oh, it's in St. Louis. Okay. That's why you know that.
Yeah, it's.
I'd never heard of it until I just read it.
There was another big time, a really good basketball player there. Might have been there with Ahern, but I can't remember if he was there with Ahern or at a different time than Ahern. I cannot find the guy's name. It's driving me crazy.
What's the school's name again? What was it again?
DeSmet.
DeSmet. Okay.
Folks, you need a tough, reliable tractor to tackle those tough chores? Well, folks at Mid-South Ag Equipment have exactly what you need with the Case IH Farmall series of tractors. Versatile performers, perfect for loading, baling, tilling, mowing, whatever it is that you need to get done. They've got the right tractor for you. They got the Case IH. They've got bush hog equipment. They got everything you can imagine for new equipment, pre-owned equipment, service on your equipment. They'll do that as well, of course, at Mid-South Ag Equipment. Located just south of Collierville on Goodman Road. If you take I-269 to the Goodman Road exit, it's just a half mile west. Very easy to find, very easy to get to the folks at Mid-South Ag Equipment. Also very easy to find them online. MidSouthAg.com is the website where you can get all the information you need about inventory, inventory, special deals, anything else that you need to know about Mid-South Ag Equipment.
We open up hour 3 with the great Elliot Perry. That's next. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Good morning, MPD working this accident over here on 40 westbound. It's going to be just past Jackson, past Austin Peay Highway. It's got traffic a little bit slow in that area. We're hoping it's going to move a little bit better in the next few minutes on 40 west past Austin Peay Highway. Still moving right now, 385 Billmore Parkway coming inbound as you get up on that ramp to 240. Shop now and save during this holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:03 the time, our final hour today here on Sports 56 Mornings, the Tuesday, December 10th, 2024 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, and Elijah Seegers. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, it's where family and fun come together. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Currently cloudy skies, 52 degrees. We'll get up to 54 today. Could see a morning shower, maybe an early afternoon shower. Then tonight, cloudy early, some clearing expected late, 33 for a low. Your overnight hours, it will get into the upper 20s. We're looking at about 29 degrees, 50 for your high tomorrow under sunshiny skies. Jenkins Floors and More, third hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings, located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. They also have stores in Cleveland, Mississippi, and in Little Rock. If you're looking for flooring, you're looking for carpeting, this is the place for you. They also have SPC and WPC vinyls, which are scratch resistant, waterproof, top of the line. Carpeting from Southern Luxury Carpet. They have hardwoods by Portercraft, ceramic and porcelain tiles, backsplashes for your kitchens and bathrooms, plantation shutters and blinds, and so much more. It's a family-owned and operated company. They sell it wholesale. Skip the middleman, save you lots of money in the process, so it makes sense if you're a contractor or a do-it-yourself homeowner, but also for homeowners who need assistance. Jenkins can do the job for you, and they'll do it in a 2-week turnaround. They'll also come to you and give you a free estimate. So you don't have to leave your house. All you have to do is give them a call at 662-469-9350. Ask for Timmy or Rebecca Jenkins or any of the fine folks at Jenkins, and they will take care of it for you. Tell them you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. Ask about your Sports 56 family discount. Also, all military and first responders, you get 10% off. They're open Monday through Saturday. It makes sense to buy your carpeting, your flooring from Jenkins Floors and More. 662-469-9350, or go see them at 2356 Goodman Road. That's in Horn Lake, Mississippi. Without further ado, it is our pleasure to be joined now by one of the greats of all time at the University of Memphis, a standout for a long time in the National Basketball Association. And you now listen to him with Eric Hasseltine on Memphis Grizzlies home games on the radio. He is our good friend EP. He is Elliot Perry, who joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. EP, how are you?
Well, GG, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Maybe not as good as the Grizzlies are. I mean, they're in a nice little groove right now. You know, we keep asking about, well, what happens when the other guys come in? When they come back from injury. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's always a good problem to have. I mean, it's not a bad problem, but man, oh man, there are guys right now stepping up, EP. It's going to be really interesting when they're all healthy who's actually going to be in the rotation.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, sometimes I feel like, and I say this on radio all the time, it's the gift and the curse, you know, really to have that kind of depth. And so I think Coach Jenkins is really going to have to really decipher game by game. You're going to have probably an 8-man rotation, and then after that, you know, it's kind of game by game situation. But all these guys are not only playing well, but they're productive. And so, it's a tough call, but I'd rather have this kind of depth because I think it's going to help us in the long term. You know, where you are able to rest some guys, you are able to in the playoffs, you are able to really extend your rotation and then put different combinations of guys in the game to really figure out, you know, who's playing well and who's not playing well. And so, look, I'd rather have that than not.
I agree.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about Jaren Jackson Jr. Where do you think Jaren, compared to where he was a couple of years ago, I think he learned a lot last year, especially on the offensive end when he was forced to be kind of the only guy out there. But how much better of a player do you think he is now than where he was a couple of years ago? And what do you see as those biggest improvements?
Oh, and no question, the fouling situation. I think he's available more in games, and that's a good question because the one thing I do on the radio, I really highlight that. We always talk about the unicorn player, and we looked at Porzingis really as kind of the unicorn. But I think Jaren is more of a unicorn than Porzingis because not only can he knock down 3-point shots, he can handle the basketball at the 4 spot. He can post up, use left hand, right hand, and he's a good defender, off-ball defender. And so I think he has more attributes than a guy like Porzingis. And he literally is a mismatch almost every night. So if a big guy's on him, he can take him free throw line extended or out from the 3-point line. If a small guy's on him, he can post him up. And I think the team is doing a much better job of utilizing his strengths more. And I think Jaren has grown, to your point, Eli. I think Jaren has grown more because of last year. And the one thing I mentioned last year to him is, you know, that's a hard thing to do. I've been on teams where you have a lot of injuries and, you know, your main guys just feel like, look, I'm going to sit it out too because everybody else is sitting it out, but he didn't sit it out. And so I think that helped him a lot, really become a little bit more of a leader and understand what it takes night in and night out to play at a high level. And I think he's doing that so far.
Look, we're 25 games into the season. This is more than a small sample size. He's been great. Now, I understand these all-star teams have a limited amount of spots. There's only 12. I think they should extend it to 15, personally, in each conference. And we'll see what happens with Ja, who, when he plays, is one of the best in the NBA. But to me, Elliot, there is no question Jaren Jackson Jr. is an all-star.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with you. I think he's earned that. And the thing about it is, when he made the All-Star team, you know, like we didn't think he was going to make it that year, you know.
Right.
But he made the All-Star team this year. You know, my hope is that he continues to be really productive and really make the All-Star team, because I think, you know, he's earned that. You know, night in and night out, being with his consistency night in and night out. Plus, you look at the record for the Memphis Grizzlies, it definitely shows.
What do you think of the new, I guess, version of Ja Morant that, as he says, is not trying to dunk?
The dunk the other night was as good as I've seen
Pretty good for a
in
guy
a
not
long
trying
time.
to dunk.
Hey, I say this. Sometimes you can say that, but when you get on the floor, you know, your instincts take over. This guy is, in my opinion, the most entertaining guy in the league. There's no question about it. When he plays and plays at a high level, there's nobody more entertaining than Ja Morant in the league. I'm more impressed with Ja Morant just from a maturation standpoint.
Yes.
I think I always talk about this. When teams get ready to take the next step, you know, like you have good teams, but they're young. When they get ready to take the next step, it comes with maturation. We saw that in Boston, that to take that next step is maturation. And I think it comes with your leaders. When your leadership and your best players on the team can show maturation, what he's doing on the defensive end and the effort he's putting out on the defensive end, how he's responding to his team, knowing when to go put your foot on the gas and when not to put your foot on the gas, really trying to get other guys involved. And then, you know, outside of that is really just being supportive of your teammates. And I think that's been the big, you know, that's been the big difference in Ja Morant that I've seen this year.
The great Elliot Perry joining us here on Sports 56 Mornings. You can follow EP on Twitter at Elliot L. Perry. He's joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest lines. Okay, take us back to when you were a rook in the NBA. Put yourself in the shoes of Jalen Wells. This guy, a second-round pick, nothing seems to bother him. I'm like, is this guy a robot or is he human? He doesn't have always, you know, every night the big explosive games, but I cannot believe the consistency that we're seeing from a second-round pick who's been starting for a team that's second best in the West.
Yeah, I'm super, super impressed with Jalen Wells. You know, for one, much like you said, I mean, he's not bothered. He doesn't back down from anybody. I think you do get the 2 for 1. Not only is he a good offensive player, a guy that's willing to take big shots and make big shots, a playmaker off the dribble, but he's also a good defender too. So you see him drawing the hard defensive assignments in the starting lineup. And so I just think he found a really diamond in the rough. And the other thing is, it's always good to go to a team like that, you know, when you're a second-round pick, because you're insulated. You got Des Bane, you got Ja Morant, you got Jaren Jackson, you got Santi who's playing. I mean, all these guys. So if you do go, say you're not having a good game, you know, it's not a big deal, you know. And so, you know, I just think that this guy is a basketball player, and that's what I love about him. He's not he doesn't get rattled. He's up for the assignment to guard, you know, from, you know, Damian Lillard to Steph Curry to LeBron. You know, like he's up for the challenge, and so I just think we found a diamond in the rough in Jalen Wells.
Speaking of diamonds in the rough, why do you think Scottie Pippen Jr. hadn't caught on elsewhere before this? I mean, he was a great college player. The NBA now seems to like sons of former star players for whatever reason. Why do you think Scottie Pippen Jr. didn't catch on and now seemingly has found his home here with the Grizzlies and looks like a guy who should have been in the league the last couple of years?
Yeah, I just think it's a combination of two things, Eli. I think one thing is I think you have to fail in order to really, you know, learn what it takes to be in this league night in, night out. And then the other piece is just fit. You know, I liken it to my own career, you know, being cut 2 or 3 different times, making the last cut on teams, getting 10 days on different teams. And then all of a sudden I get a 10-day with the Phoenix Suns, and the fit is just like, man, this feel like it's home. You know, it feel like it's the right place. And, you know, from there, the rest is history. And I think that, like, for me, as it relates to Scottie Pippen Jr. is fit. You know, he is your, and I hate to use this term, but I'm going to use it just for the sake of this conversation. He is your poor man's what's the backup point guard we had?
Tyus
Jones. He's your kind of he's really steady. He off the dribble, he probably penetrates and go a little bit off the dribble a little bit more. When Ja's out, he's uber productive. You know, when John's there, he comes back and falls back in his role. And that's the one thing I mentioned to him is like, don't worry about when John's going to play, when he's not going to play, how many minutes you get when John's playing. You know, I played behind Kevin Johnson for 3 years in Phoenix, and when he wasn't there, I was starting and my production was up. When he was there, my minutes were down. You know, obviously my production was down a little bit, but my minutes were down. And so that's just the gift and the curse of it all. And so I just love his production right now and his mindset, because I think that carries you further than anything else, is the mindset you have.
How tough you have to be ready. Like you were ready.
Yeah, you got to be
ready
no,
for
no
when
doubt.
your name is called. Yeah.
No doubt.
How tough is it to adjust to that? Like, because again, growing up, you are playing all the minutes. You're a star player at every level, and getting to that point where now you have to accept that you're not that guy, that you don't know for sure how many minutes you're going to get. How hard was that for you to adjust to, and how is that? Did you get that mindset?
Yeah, I think it is hard to adjust to when you're used to playing minutes, or you play minutes early and then you don't get the minutes when somebody comes back. But I think that's the job of assistant coaches, and that's why I say the NBA is still I get the analytics, I get all that. It's still a relational business. You know, if I didn't have coaches like Lionel Hollins telling me, you know, when I was just saying, hey, don't worry. If I didn't have, you know, coaches like Frank Johnson, I played with him my first year when he retired, we hired him as an assistant coach. He's like, hey, I mean, sit right here on the bench, sit beside me, and really coaching me through all of those things. So I think, you know, having good assistant coaches, Mike Woodson, having good assistant coaches in your highs and your lows, talking you through all of these different situations, I think it just keeps your mind in the moment, as opposed to, you know, just your mind rambling and saying, hey, I'm not getting a minute, so I cop an attitude. Then when your numbers call, you're not ready.
EP, what do you like about this new offense?
I had my reservations initially, but I think that what the team has done from the beginning of the season to now is, I think they've done both. I think they've implemented their new offense, and when it's rolling. But I also think that, you know, when you look at it, it has some elements of traditional offense. So, you know, you see some pick and roll sometimes. You see in half court where we have to do some things that we traditionally do in offenses. And so I think they've been able to really mix the two. And it's going well. And then when different lineups are in the basketball game, you're seeing guys really be more comfortable in the offense and what they can do. And so I think what the offense has done, in my opinion, is taking what the strengths of all of their players and allowing them to play to their strengths, as opposed to just fitting in one certain offense.
Where do you feel like right now a healthy Grizzlies team is in the Western Conference?
Feel like we're as good as, you know, I mean, I'm knocking on wood right now, but I just feel like if we're healthy, fully healthy, I think we could play with anybody. And I say that with all due respect, because I know there are some good teams in the West. But I think what could possibly be the difference, I'm not going to say what's going to be the difference, what could be the difference for this basketball team, as I think about like an OKC Thunder, and this is the case with them too, is depth. I think that depth is going to be the key. I know guys shrink their rotations, coaches shrink their rotations in the playoffs. And in the playoffs, I think this could be a positive for us if we're fully healthy, is because what you need in the playoffs is two things. You need to win a game that you weren't supposed to win, so you get lucky on a game. And you also need somebody, an X factor, to come off the bench and win a game for you. And what I mean by win a game for you is like a guy come off the bench and, you know, Huff come off the bench, or a Scotty, and have a, you know, guy you wasn't thinking, and have a big game. Jake LaRavia comes off the bench and have 16 points, and we win that game. And so I think that this team have all the elements to go as deep as they want to go. I think it's going to come down to health and then mindset.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you for a quick comment about your alma mater, your University of Memphis Tigers. Of course, you being one of the greats of all time. You watched this team play like they did out at Maui, and unfortunately had to slip up on Sunday, and hopefully it's just a slip up. They got some huge games coming up. What do you think about the team? You talked about depth a second ago. The Grizzlies' depth. The Tigers are the opposite, but if guys are healthy and playing well, you don't really need it too much, but sometimes you can get into foul trouble, and that could get you into trouble. So what do you think about this team overall and the start they've gotten off to?
Yeah, I like this team overall. You know, I think Penny and I, we we text every game. I like this team overall, and I think the one thing is you're going to have some slip ups. I think it comes down to tough mindset. Can you bounce back? So you get your team to say, hey, we lost the game. We felt like we shouldn't have lost, but we're the hunted now. And any team can lose on any given night. You hate that you lost it at home, and then get back to having a singular focus. What I mean by that is like we're going to play the opponent in front of us. We're not going to work. And if that opponent is an opponent we feel like, they're okay. No, we're going to have a tough mental mindset to go into every game and try to play at the highest level. Look, you got three of the best guards in the country. I think when all three of these guys, Hunter, Rogers, and Haggerty, are playing well, they're as good as any three. We saw that in Maui, as good as any three guards in the country. You got an X factor in Jordan. You got Dame and Musa, both of those guys. So you have the elements to have a good team. Again, it just comes down to night in and night out, executing, taking care of the basketball, making all the small things, taking care of the ball, making your free throws, forcing turnovers, and then knocking down shots. So I like this basketball team. It's going to be interesting to see because they lost a game like this, what kind of mindset they have going into the next game against Clemson.
He is Elliot Perry, one of the all-time greats at the University of Memphis and Grizzlies radio analyst. You can hear him on all home games, so make sure you check him out. Follow him on Twitter at Elliot L. Perry. EP, always great to have you on. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Same to you. Hey, GG, keep Eli in line, man.
It's hard.
I'm just being honest with you. I'm just being honest with you.
On the golf course again.
Man, you killed me the last time, so I'm not running. I'm still licking my wounds on that.
He's not ducking you. He's not ducking you, Eli. Thanks, Elliot. Take care of yourself.
All right, man. You guys have a good one.
All right, man.
Darrell Texas says, why not Ja in the dunk contest? Well, because Ja said he's not doing the dunk contest.
Right. No, there is no way.
He's never wanted to do it. And then the last time when he talked about the fact that he's not trying to dunk this year, he said, so you can forget about the dunk contest. Like he literally said, forget about the dunk contest. I'm not doing it. So that is not a possibility for Ja at all.
No, it's a shame because he's one of the greats right now in the game and maybe the best dunker there is. We saw that the other night in Boston. But you are not going to do that right now when he's trying to limit those chances of getting hurt. And when you're doing those kind of things, obviously you come down awkward, you come down on somebody's ankle or on somebody's foot rather, and you twist your ankle. There's all kinds of things that can happen, and you're trying to avoid those type of injuries.
If he comes down on somebody's foot in the dunk contest, that'd be a problem.
No, I'm talking about in general, why he has stopped or at least slowed down as far as the amount of dunks he does. It's all about trying to stay healthy.
And the internet's a wonderful place. Actually, it's not. It's terrible. It's a cesspool. But it can be wonderful. Matt Bonyak was the guy I was trying to find his name of. All-time leading scorer at DeSmet High School.
Never heard of the guy. Where'd he go to play college?
SLU.
Okay. Speaking of basketball, take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. I was just texting back and forth with my buddy Scott McCulley from Shoot 360 Memphis. They have an amazing array of coaches to help you, and you get that one-on-one coaching experience at Shoot 360 Memphis. Guys like Scott Adebato, who was a former assistant coach with the Memphis Grizzlies. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification. So it makes it fun. You're having a fun time, but you're also getting instant objective feedback with the coaching, but also the analytics that they provide. The new Cordova location, 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation size courts, 3 high school size courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. They also have the original in Collierville. You can become a member at both of their locations, and you can become a member on a monthly basis. Yes, a monthly basis. So check them out online. You can sign up there at Shoot 360 Memphis or give them a call if you want a tour. It makes a lot of sense. They will be kind enough and glad enough to just bring you around and show you all the facility. That's not an issue whatsoever. 901-779-3176 is the number to call in Cordova. In Collierville, 901-316-5500. This makes a great gift for that basketball playing person in your family, whether it's a son or daughter, grandson, granddaughter, whatever the case may be. This is for kids, for adults, for players on teams, right? For teams, in fact, if coaches want to bring them over to this facility, makes a lot of sense as well. But it makes a great gift. Again, you can do it on a monthly basis. It's Shoot 360 Memphis. The future of basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. We're talking college football with Blake Topmeyer when we return. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56.
Because it's Christmas, Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory that you have to move because you know it's Christmas. So don't wait. You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them for Christmas. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstock, and place to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits. And all fire pits at Family Leisure are now 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Let's say no more. Spas are in stock, ready for Christmas delivery, and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for Christmas. Just come on by and check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find. Family Leisure. Whether I feel the family and fun come together for Christmas. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitney Road in Memphis, right off I-40.
I got a line.
He got a line.
She got a line. We got 4 lines. Cricket Nation. Q finger guns. Really easy. Super stress-free. 5G so fast, like blazing fast. Games and memes, you'll have a blast. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. You can get fast 5G across 4 lines. As we discussed, take it from us. We 4 are one. Cricket Nation.
And only $25 a line. Welcome to more lines. Welcome to Cricket Nation. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G requires a valid device. Is not available everywhere. Discount varies by line. Fees may apply. Terms and restrictions apply. Secret to wireless.com for details. Yeah, it's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. That's right. Now's your last chance to trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's up to $1,900 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for Watch and Tab. Up to $1,900 value based on phone, Watch and Tab. Rated and conditions. Terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
The holidays are near, and Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators is here to make this season extra cozy and cheerful. For the first 50 customers who purchase a new Carrier system, tankless water heater, or a whole home generator, we have a special gift for you. Choose from a $500 gift card or 60 months no interest financing. And don't forget about Choate's Refer a Friend referral program, where you could earn up to $500. Simply refer a friend to use our services, and if they become a customer, you could earn up to a $500 Visa gift card. But hurry, this festive offer will only last through December 20th. Visit ChoatesHVAC.com or call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. And turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family this holiday season.
This hour brought to you by Tennis Floors and once again by Greg Gaston.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:28 the time. 31 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the show. I'm trying to be precise today. We've talked a lot about Tigers basketball, Tigers football. We've talked Grizzlies as well. It was nice having EP on the show. It's always nice having Blake Topmeyer on the show. He joins us every other Tuesday to talk college football. He is the senior national college football columnist for USA Today Network. You can follow him on Twitter at @BTopmeyer. He joins us now for Sports 56 Mornings. Blake, how are you?
I'm doing well. You guys?
Doing fantastic. I hope you're excited for the playoff. I'm sure you are, as are we. Do you feel that the committee did their job?
I think they got some things significantly wrong, but I think for the most part it was okay. I guess I'd go like B- maybe. I don't agree with the selection of SMU. I do think once we got to the last team in, though, I said like I wasn't going to make it a hill to die on who got in, who got out. I don't think it should have been Alabama. I don't think it should have been SMU. I thought it was a little strange how much the committee valued conference championship game losers. Obviously this maiden voyage of the 12-team playoff, we didn't exactly know, what some of the, narratives or telltale signs were that were going to emerge here in this year one. Like, what were we going to learn about this process that maybe wasn't relevant or didn't happen in the past? And I guess that's my biggest takeaway is that, like, never has there been a better time in college football's history to lose your conference championship game than there is now. Out of, bracket day, were SMU getting in with no wins over top 25 opponents, and getting in basically because it made its conference championship game, and so that was one of the big winners, and then the other two big winners I thought were Texas and Penn State, teams that got the highest seeds possible for an at-large team. They were ineligible for a first-round bye because they didn't win their conference championship game, and so those coveted number 5 and 6 seeds, they got those basically by virtue of making it to the conference championship game. Didn't really beat anybody along the way, but again, I thought there was a lot of supreme valuation for losing your conference championship game, which I guess is fine. I don't totally understand it. There's never before been like special treatment for teams that lost in the conference championship game, but I guess now there is, and so that's that, and that's information, we kind of have going forward. Whether that remains the case in the future, we don't know, because as we know, it's not like committee decisions are legal precedents from the Supreme Court that are long-standing.
So you said you didn't think it should be SMU or Alabama. Who would you have put in as the last team?
Okay, so I got like two different avenues to go down there. If I'm just choosing the best team and basing it on eye test plus resume, I think it should be Ole Miss. Ole Miss had obviously some bad losses, no blowout losses, unlike Alabama. That was the thing with me for Alabama. Like, but not only did they lose 3 games, 2 of which were to 6-6 teams, but I just can't unsee that blowout loss by 3 touchdowns to a bad Oklahoma team just a couple weeks ago. And so that makes it really hard for Alabama in my eyes. Ole Miss had 3 losses, one of which was at home to Kentucky in September, which is not good. But each of Ole Miss's losses were by 1 possession or less, and they have the 2 most impressive victories of any team under consideration. They smashed Georgia. Didn't just beat them, they smashed them. Georgia's the SEC champion, the number 2 seed. Ole Miss beat them, and they crushed them. Alabama beat them. Ole Miss beat them and crushed them. And then South Carolina, a team that the committee views as the top 15 team. Ole Miss went on the road into South Carolina's building and completely defaced them. They beat them by 24 points, whereas Alabama also beat South Carolina at home, not on the road, at home, beat South Carolina, and that was a game that was decided literally on the final play. And so Ole Miss, I thought, had a stronger resume than SMU, and I think when you look at all factors, it was a stronger resume than Alabama. And I think on the eye test, when Ole Miss was at its best, I think it was as good as any team under consideration. It's a flawed resume, to be sure, but all these resumes we're talking about for the final team are flawed ones. So that's who I would pick, if it just came down to resume plus eye test, or just who I think deserved it. I guess among flawed teams, Ole Miss. But if the committee had a thought in mind that they just can't stomach a 3-loss team, which I don't totally agree with that rationale, but I can understand it. If that's the rationale, then I still wouldn't take SMU. I think if you're looking to avoid 3-loss teams, I would either take BYU, a 10-2 team that beat SMU in SMU Stadium, and has a better strength of schedule than SMU. And like I said, the head-to-head result, to me, you can't overlook it. If you're looking for a team with a playoff-ish resume that has fewer than 3 losses, I think BYU is a strong contender because they beat SMU head-to-head in SMU Stadium. And then one more I would put out there would be 11-1 Army. Look, I know they got crushed by Notre Dame. SMU did not play an opponent of Notre Dame's caliber all season. Also, if the message the committee's trying to send in is, hey, like, conference championship games still matter, well, to me, pick someone who won their conference championship game, not someone who lost their conference championship game. Army won their conference championship game, finished 11-1, and so one fewer loss than SMU, played one fewer game, but one fewer loss. Their loss came to a team that's better than anybody SMU has faced. And so I thought there were better options to SMU and Alabama. Again, I don't think it's like some great travesty, just because, like, I think once we get to that point in the bracket, all these teams in some way or another blew it, and so you live with the committee's decision. But I do not really understand the SMU choice, because the biggest reason SMU got in, really, is that they drew a favorable conference schedule. There's 4 teams in the top 25 from the ACC. SMU avoided the other 3 throughout the regular season by luck of the draw. And I don't think they should necessarily be punished for that, but to me they shouldn't be rewarded for making their conference championship game and then losing, when a big reason why they made their conference championship game was because of the schedule they drew. Like, I could understand rewarding conference runners-up if the conferences were smaller and you played everybody in your league during the regular season. But the ACC is a 17-team conference, and they play just 8 conference games. So we're offering a big, big valuation for conference runners-up when you're not even playing half the teams in your conference during your regular season.
There is a lot to dissect with what you said, and I agree with a lot of what you said. I'm glad that you said what you said about Ole Miss, because I have been on that mountain, and I feel like I've been on that mountain alone, so it was nice to hear. But it is interesting. 2 things that really come to mind right away is, first of all, we have to get away from that they're picking the best 12 teams, because they're not necessarily picking the best 12 teams. If that's the case and you wanted to sit in a room and go, oh, who do you think would beat who on a neutral field and all that, there would be some different teams that would be in the 12-team playoff. They're trying to pick the 12 that earned the spots. So that's number one. And then, of course, you have your restrictions and your regulations of, conference champions and things of that nature. That's how Clemson is in, or they would not have been in. The other thing is that, to me, they don't really look at the full resume. I don't think they go back that far. I think of what they've done lately is what they're really basing things on. In fact, we can go one step further with the SMU statement that you made. It wasn't just who they didn't play in the conference and that they were unbeaten in the conference and all that. It came down to how they played in the second half of that game.
Yeah.
Not even the full game. It was how they came back in the second half. So that's why I was tweeting out, and I was joking about, well, if they score a touchdown here, they're probably in. Or if they score 10 points here, they're in. It's a shame that it really came down to that Clemson let down their guard and SMU came back. That's why they're in the playoff.
I agree. And again, this is like, I have a hard time, and I can make all these arguments. I got plenty of them, right? As you guys could tell. But I don't think it's like a travesty on the level of. I was in the camp that the committee. Yeah, the committee hugely erred, in my opinion, and I know there's an argument for the other side, but hugely erred last season by keeping out 13-0 Florida State, because their crystal balls told them that Florida State couldn't win a playoff game without Jordan Travis, even though Florida State won in the Swamp, beat an average Florida team, but we know winning in the Swamp's not easy without Jordan Travis, and won their ACC championship game without Jordan Travis. They decided last year that they were going to pick the best team, not the most deserving teams. And their crystal ball told them, and their divination techniques told them that Alabama was a better team than Florida State. I thought that was one of the worst, no, not one of, the worst decision we've ever seen from the committee, keeping out a 13-0 conference champion because of what crystal balls told them. And so this was not that, on, for me at least, on anything near that level. Because, you know, as I make the case for Ole Miss, which I think it should have been, Ole Miss lost at home to Kentucky. Like, they had every opportunity to take matters out of the committee's hands and to just control it themselves and get in the playoff. But you're going to have a 12-team playoff. You have to have 12 teams. And so that means you had to pick someone. And I do think from this batch, they had the best resume top to bottom. They didn't have as good of a strength of schedule as Alabama. But for me, strength of schedule isn't the end-all, be-all. It is a factor. But it's an important factor, but you have to consider other things too. Ole Miss's strength of schedule was good, not great, good. It was better than SMU's. Not quite as good as Alabama's, but Ole Miss didn't lose by 21 points to Oklahoma. They had 3 losses. That game at the Swamp, that was decided in the final minute of the game. The Kentucky game decided right at the end. The LSU loss, that went to overtime. So if Ole Miss wins any one of those 3 games, they're in the playoff, and they take it out of the committee's hands. But because it was in the committee's hands, I think they had the best resume. And like I said, look, if they just think that a 3-loss team shouldn't make it, I don't agree with it. But even by that logic, I still think there were better choices than SMU. And you know, it is what it is. They've really valued conference runners-up in this cycle, and it goes beyond SMU, because it's like I said, you look at the seeding for Texas and Penn State, and the big achievements for those teams were making it to the conference championship game. However, Penn State lost in their own building to Ohio State. They both finished with 2 losses. Now, I know Ohio State didn't get to the conference championship game. However, Ohio State played Oregon in the regular season. Penn State didn't, and that, as much as anything else, is why Ohio State didn't get to the conference championship game. I know they lost to Michigan. That's a bad loss. However, you only have the resumes in front of you. You can't make that loss to Michigan go away. And I think when you consider everything in front of you, Ohio State's resume is better than Penn State's because they beat them head-to-head, and they beat them on the road. But again, what have you done for me lately? I do think that was part of the committee's logic here, and it's like, oh, well, Penn State got into the conference championship game. Well, why did that happen? That happened because the Big Ten is an 18-team conference. You only play 9 conference games, and Penn State didn't play Oregon in the regular season.
Yeah, it's like the luck of the draw.
State should be, I'm not saying Penn State should be punished by not making the playoff. Like, that's the thing. Like, to punish, say, 11-1 Indiana and kick them out of the playoff just because they drew a favorable conference schedule, I don't think that's right. Like, they went 11-1, and so they should be in the field. But I think they're seated about right at number 10 because they did get a favorable schedule, and the one time they played a top 25 team, Ohio State, they got crushed. So I'm fine with them being in the field, but they shouldn't be seated any higher than they are. But with Penn State, and again, they don't have any real quality victories. They beat Illinois, a bottom-end top 25 team. Ohio State is one of 3 teams in this playoff that has multiple victories against other playoff teams. The 3 teams are Oregon, Georgia, and Ohio State. And Ohio State got one of the most difficult bracket draws of anybody in the field, despite being one of 3 teams having multiple wins against playoff opponents, all because Ohio State didn't make the Big Ten championship game. Penn State did. And if that's the rules that the committee are going to follow, I suppose that's fine. But one, write them down, because nowhere in the rules
put it in the criteria, right?
Yeah, nowhere in the criteria that say just making the conference championship game gives you special consideration from the committee. But that's what they've done. They did it for Texas. They did it for Penn State. They did it for SMU. And I guess so be it. But now we know that getting to that conference championship game, regardless of how it happens, whether it means you got a easy draw from the league office or you actually went out and beat a bunch of good teams, that if this does become precedent, which, like I said, there's nothing that holds the committee to doing that. Last year they picked the 4 best teams. This year they didn't pick the best teams. You just don't know year over year what they're going to do.
So in the first round games, now we go back to the fact that a lot of these teams playing in this first round haven't beaten a ranked team this year.
Yeah.
We got a lot of that with Indiana, Notre Dame, SMU, Penn State, Texas. There are some big lines here. What underdog do you like the best in the first round?
I don't really like any of them, but I guess I would say Tennessee from the perspective of Ohio State is down 2 offensive line starters, and if they have a hangover from that Michigan loss, not just a hangover, but I think we even struggle to understand the mental toll that losing, quote unquote, the game can take on a program. We all realize it's a huge rivalry game, but I really don't think, even as closely as we all cover college football, I don't know if it's even possible to understand just the gut punch, the mental blow it would be to lose that game in a year where you have all the expectations. It was on your home field. You had your home crowd booing you. You had, the incident afterwards, all that. I don't know if Ohio State can shake that off. Maybe they can. I'm not saying they can't. But if we're looking at a potential upset, I think it's Tennessee because, like I said, health of the Ohio State offensive line and just what type of Ohio State team is going to come back from that event. Are they just a broken team now, or are they going to use that and say that wasn't us, and they're going to come out in the playoff and show everybody that wasn't us?
Yeah.
The other matchups, they do feel pretty lopsided. If Penn State had been seated a spot lower and say it was a 7-10 against Indiana, I could see that being a really, really good game. But with Penn State getting, the weakest team in the playoff, I think in SMU, I think they should roll. I think Texas getting the 5 seed is going to roll Clemson. Notre Dame, Indiana, I think could be interesting just because, in a way, those teams are built a little bit similarly, I think. Both have had very strong defenses all year. Indiana, didn't look good against Ohio State, but they also allowed 2 special team touchdowns in that game. So I think that one could be competitive. I don't think Indiana wins, but I think that one could be competitive. I think the 5 seed and the 6 seeds, even though I don't know that either of those teams earned those seeds, because they did receive them and the matchups they got, I think they could win by blowouts. I mean, one last thing, and we don't have to go down this tangent, but one last thing I got to say about the committee. I just thought it was comical that SMU seeded 11 and Clemson 12 when Clemson beat SMU 12 hours previously. You talk about strange decisions. That one was real puzzling.
That you're absolutely right about that. Here's Blake Toppmeyers, the senior national college football columnist for the USA Today Network. You can follow him on Twitter at @BToppmeyer. 2 weeks from today would be the 24th. So, we'll see about your schedule and all that, but we want to get you on, obviously, to wrap up the first round of the playoffs and get set for the quarterfinals. So we'll talk to you soon. Can't thank you enough. Make sure to read all his great stories at USA Today and follow him on Twitter at @BToppmeyer. Thank you, Blake.
Hey, great talking to you guys. Always good to hear from you.
Take care. Well, folks, nothing says holiday fun like driving home in a new All-Star Chevrolet. It's the Red Tag event here in Olive Branch. That could get you some big customer cash or financing as low as 0%. How about a new Tahoe or Silverado? Maybe a new Blazer or Suburban. Together, let's drive into Christmas and the new year in a new All-Star Chevrolet. Some will have special financing and no payments until spring, because your good credit deserves it. Olive Branch is where all the new Silverados and the Tahoes are, new 24s and 25s. If you're in law enforcement, you're a first responder, healthcare, military, teacher, recent graduate, get a $500 bonus. Every late model pre-owned you're looking for is all in one place at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. All the Silverados, the Jeeps, the Toyotas, the Lexus, the Ram trucks, Ford trucks, SUVs, even beautiful Camaros are there in the pre-owned department. If you've got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. So don't miss the final holiday red tag sale. It's going on now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. And Drew and everyone at All-Star Chevrolet wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. You can check out all these great vehicles online at allstarautogroup.com. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
There's no better place in Memphis to catch up with your out-of-town friends than Bell Tavern, Memphis's best downtown neighborhood bar. This is the time of year when old friends and far-flung relatives swing into town for a few days, and you want to get together someplace quiet, someplace friendly, and someplace with ice-cold beer and signature cocktails you can't find anywhere else. And that, my friends, is Bell Tavern. Tucked into Barbaro Alley, Bell Tavern is tailor-made for being with people you haven't seen in a while, and you get to show off the fact that you know the greatest bar in Memphis, and they don't. Get on
Welcome back, everyone. 9:52 the time. So do you have any idea who's still alive in the NBA, the Emirates NBA Cup? They're down to the quarterfinals.
You got Milwaukee, Atlanta, Orlando, and the Knicks.
Say it again. Milwaukee, Orlando.
Orlando, and is it the Knicks or the fourth in the
East? Yeah, you got all of them right.
You've got in the West, it is Dallas, Golden State. No, Golden State. Yeah, Golden State advanced. They won the group. Dallas got the wild card of that group, Grizzlies group. The other two group winners out of the West were, let me think about this.
I can't think
of the other
I can't believe you've gotten
winners.
6 so far. You got all 6 and you need 2 more.
The other two group winners out of the West. Help me, Elijah.
It's Houston and OKC.
Houston, that's right.
So you knew this too?
I did.
You two may be the only ones that knew this.
No, again, like you can down this thing. Like people do. There are people that care about it. Like you try and downplay this cup thing every year. Like there are people that care and follow it.
Do you really think the players care?
I think so. The product was really good last year.
Huh?
The product was really good last year.
I'm not saying the product's bad. I'm just saying I don't know if they. You think the Grizzlies are distraught that they've been eliminated again from the Cup? I don't think so.
No, they're
looking at 17
There's a
and
lot
8.
difference between being distraught or caring about winning.
I guess when you get to the quarterfinals, if you get that far, you probably want to win it now. So tonight, you have Orlando at Milwaukee, and then you have Dallas at Oklahoma City, and then tomorrow you have Atlanta at New York, and you have Golden State at Houston. I am impressed by the two of you. Incredibly impressed by the two of you. Now, Houston, I said that's the team. Watch out for. You remember me saying that before the season tipped off. I think they're for real. I don't think this is BS with what Houston's doing. I think they're a tough out. Golden State now, they've surprised me. I thought they would take a step back. They haven't yet.
Well, they are. They're in the process. I mean, they're struggling bad right now.
But they're in the quarterfinals.
Well, that's because they won their first 3 cup games.
Dallas is Dallas. I liked them last year. I loved what they did at the trade deadline. And Oklahoma City. Again, Oklahoma City is doing this without Chet Holmgren. It tells you how good they are, how deep that team is. And then in the East, Atlanta's a weird team. Some nights they look like they can beat anybody. You know, Trae Young will go for 25 and 20 assists. Other nights they get beat by 40. Knicks are loaded. And then Orlando just lost Wagner, one of the Wagners. And Milwaukee is starting to get it going. Dame's healthy, the Freak. They're starting to get Middleton's back. They're starting to get it going. I don't know about Philly making a comeback. They may, because they're star-studded. But Milwaukee, absolutely.
A.J. Debinsa has chosen BYU. What an amazing get for BYU.
Wow. Is that Pope? Who's the coach at BYU?
Pope's at Kentucky.
Oh, that's right. Who's at BYU now?
It's the first-year head coach. Kevin Young came from the NBA ranks. Been a G League head coach. He was the assistant with Phoenix, and that's a massive, massive get for them. Number 1 player in the country. Was it North Carolina, Houston?
Was Kansas in there? I don't think Houston was in there, were they?
I don't remember who his other finalists were, but
do you
BYU,
think
he was at a lot of BYU football games, so the thought was they were going to get him, and they did get him.
Do you think they offered him the Tabernacle Choir? Like, does he own now the Mormon Tabernacle Choir? I mean, that's an incredible get, by the way. Oh, one other note from, we were talking about Ole Miss and opt-outs. According to this, they have not had one opt-out for their bowl game, the Gator Bowl. Former Ole Miss quarterback Walker Howard, who did transfer or jumped into the portal, according to reports, has committed to the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns. Walker Howard, very highly sought after coming out of high school. And you're going to get a lot more names over the next couple of weeks with the portal now open.
Alabama was one of the other ones. That was
Alabama, that's right.
Debinsa as one of the finalists for him.
Yeah, he had 4 of them, right?
BYU gets the number 1 player in the country.
Man.
Good work. Good work by BYU.
Yeah, Kansas, Carolina, BYU, Alabama are the 4.
Folks, Genesis Diamonds has a great deal for you for Christmas. 5 years, 0 interest financing available on everything in the store right now at Genesis Diamonds. So go pick out that beautiful gift idea for that special someone on that holiday list and get 5 years, 0 interest financing. If you're thinking about getting engaged, well, this is a perfect time to go buy that engagement ring. Unbelievable selection from the top designers. Huge selection of diamonds, whether it be natural diamonds or lab-grown diamonds. Great pricing, always direct importer pricing that you get. And right now, 0 interest for 5 years. That's at Genesis Diamonds, Poplar at Perkins Extended.
That is going to do it for us today. I want to thank you folks for listening. Thank you for your calls and texts. Thanks to Tim Buckley, to Elliot Perry, and Blake Topmeyer for joining us on the show. Tomorrow, Jerry Palm at 8:25. We'll talk Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole at 9:05 and talk Memphis Tigers basketball with Parth Upadhyay at 9:25. Join us starting bright and early at 7 a.m. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next. For Eli Savoy and for Elijah Siggers, I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.